Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday. Hey there, it's Brian Davis, and that's right, we made it to 100. 100 episodes of Damn Good Movie Memories, and I can't believe it. I didn't think we would go 10 episodes, let alone 100, and we have so many good ideas, and we're ready for 100 more, and we're going to keep going as long as it's fun. And I never could have imagined we would have made it this far, and it's thanks to you guys for listening and making it fun and giving all this great feedback, and I'm amazed people even listen, so but it's so much fun. And I hope that enthusiasm shows. We're going to keep getting better and better, so thank you again for listening. I have many thanks. First and foremost, gotta thank my parents, Bob and Joanne. So without them, obviously there would be no me, and there would be no podcast. So thank you guys for having me. And no, my mom always listens every week. She loves the show. I really appreciate it. She always gives quality feedback. She's a great guest on the show. Check out the Jazz Singer episode that we just did, and of course the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, which is Ralph Vieira's favorite episode. And then my dad's always there. My dad always inspired me to be creative, and this is what I do. This is what I like to do. So again, thanks Mom and Dad for all the support. I of course appreciate you guys, and I'm glad you listen. And then I have to thank my Uncle Daryl. He's my biggest supporter in the sense that he gives the most honest feedback possible. He'll tell me when something sucks. He'll say when he listened or didn't listen. And I love the brutally honest feedback. So I even got him on the podcast this week. So thank you, Uncle Daryl. Of course, our regulars that have been there from the beginning. Super producer Lindley, who is amazing. And she is hilarious every time. Every week I have a new idea for an episode and it always starts the same way. Lindley, what do you want? Well, what about this week's podcast? I don't know anything about that. I don't have any picks. And then she comes up with picks, and she's amazing. But every week, I wait for that, and she always gives it to me. Danielle, the laugh. How do you not hear the laugh and not just start laughing yourself? She is one of our favorite guests. She's never conventional. You know, some people do a top 10 list. Some people do a top 5 list. She does a top 6 list, or 7.5, but Danielle's the best. Malin, nobody is more insightful than Malin. Malin just comes prepared all the time. It was easier when we were working together, and now he's at a different company, but he still makes time, and we do our Skype calls, and I'm very appreciative, and I love having him on the podcast. Of course, my other brother, Brian Provençal, he's been on many soundtrack episodes. He always comes prepared. He's enthusiastic. He spreads the word. Love having Brian on the podcast. Samantha gives us some credibility with the younger generation. She's, the millennials get a bad name, but Samantha does not give millennials a bad name. She's great to have on the podcast, and I love hearing her picks every week. Enrica, we don't have Enrica on as much anymore because she's at a different company, the same company as Malin actually, but when she is on, she is excellent. She's on many of the early episodes, and now we've reconnected on Skype, so I'm hoping to get both her and her husband, and as you will hear on this episode, it will be Akira's debut, so hope for many, many more episodes with Enrica. Definitely check out the Dirty Dancing episode if you want to just hear her and I discussing the soundtrack for Dirty Dancing. We have Sarah, where if you want to check out the Eddie and the Cruiser soundtrack, Sarah's always shot out of a cannon. Love having Sarah on there. You never know what's going to come out of her mouth, and that's why we love having her. David Gelbers has been here from the beginning. If you want our superhero picks, and he is the man when it comes to superhero movies, and he's back on this episode. Stu, I've been asking Stu to be on for a long time, and I finally got him on for the Karate Kid soundtrack, and he delivered, and I hope to have him on for many more episodes. Dane was on in the early episodes. He's definitely a follower. He shares on Facebook. He likes on Facebook. He's a 80s movie fan. He likes the rare stuff. Love having him on. A newer guest, we have Rachel. You've heard her on the high school and college episode. She did some of the trivia. She is just like Samantha. She gives millennials a great name. Stephanie. Nobody is more endearing than Stephanie. You can't help but love Stephanie. And then back in the day, there's 2 special episodes with Dr. Dave. We're hoping to have him on again this year. It's kind of like a once-a-year thing, but we love having Dr. Dave on. And many, many other guests over the past 2 years. It's been amazing. Hervé Gross, who wrote our awesome theme music that you always hear on the intros and outros. And he gave me all these great little jingles and ideas, and we went back and forth, and we found the perfect mix. He is a great and talented musician. And, of course, his wife, Elen, who is my good friend, who I'm still waiting to get on the podcast, because we're going to have to talk about the 7-year each. And I'll just leave it at that. The incredible support from other podcasts, most notably the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast. That's right, Ralph Vieira, Dr. Fuck, and Ian Wadley, Wadzilla. We promote them at the end of every show that we do, and there's good reason. They are our number one supporters when it comes to other podcasts. They promote the hell out of this episode. Not this episode. They promote the hell out of this podcast, and they're great friends of the show. I've guested on their podcast at least six or seven times, been on the Vieira Vault. They are just great guys. As I'm recording this, in a couple days, I'm actually going to meet them live in Nashville at the Rock and Pod Expo, and I can't wait to meet those guys. They are the best, and I can't thank them enough for the support of this podcast on their shows and elsewhere on their radio shows as well. The Decibel Geek Podcast with Chris Sinzak and Eric Camaro. Honestly, that's how I kind of got the inspiration to finally do my own podcast. I got to guest and do a Radio Sucks episode on their podcast, and gave me the confidence to know that I could probably do it on my own. I knew I didn't want to do music because there's so many great podcasts out there that are music, so I chose movies. But I knew after, kind of holding my own with them, I could do it. And so, again, I will always be indebted to the Decibel Geek podcast and continue to listen to them as long as they go. Sonny Pooney's kind of like me. Like, he got kind of a start on the Decibel Geeks, gained the confidence to be on podcasts, and started his own, the Growing Up Rock podcast with Stephen Michael. Really great. He is a friend of the show. He's promoted this show. We promote his show. He's also on, I believe, Podcast Rock City, which is a KISS podcast. But the Growing Up Rock podcast, really well done. Kind of like the brother of Decibel Geek. And also the listeners who I've never met, but they give me great feedback. They're always sharing. Mark Brown in Australia, he suggested the top 5 best actor and actresses performances. Great fan of the show. Shane Aber, every week he shares, and I'm indebted to him for sharing and liking the episodes. Keith Rockford, always see him in the Wadzilla World chat room, giving great feedback. Thank you so much, Keith. Daniel Lee has been there for a long time, liking our stuff on Facebook. Peter Jones will always leave comments about our soundtracks. Thank you, Peter. Metal Mike, check out his radio show every Friday on That Metal Station. He's listened to some of our episodes, give me some great feedback. Thank you, Mike. Robert Freeman, based out of the UK. Hopefully one of these days we can get him on, but he's a big fan of the podcast. Samuel Wetz, met on Facebook, and really a cool guy. Posts some great stuff on his Facebook page. Johnny Vogan. He loves his 80s music. He loves his 80s movies. I love seeing him on the Rock and Metal Combat Facebook page. Hopefully, I think he's guesting on the Rock and Metal Combat podcast soon, so I can't wait to hear from him again. And Greg Cornell, who is a friend of the show on Facebook, always leaves some likes, and I really appreciate the feedback from Greg as well. All right, so this is the fun part. We're going to talk about the most downloaded episodes. In the first 100 episodes, we're going to go through the most popular episodes right now, and this is as of a couple days of this posting. All right, we'll just go from 10 down to number 1. All right, number 10 is episode 81, and that is the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. This is Dr. Fuck's favorite episode because my mom's on it. Joanne talking about the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. A lot of fun. Number 9 is episode 8, and that's our favorite guilty pleasure movies. All sorts of great sound clips on this one. This was a lot of fun. Number 8 was episode 75 with my other brother Brian doing the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. Number 7 is episode 68. This is the very first soundtrack we decided to cover, and that is the Eddie and the Cruiser soundtrack with Sarah. Number 6 is episode 74, which is Saturday Night Live and film, where we talk about our favorite movies based on Saturday Night Live bits, and then, of course, our favorite actors and actresses from Saturday Night Live, and there's all sorts of fun bits from the old show on that. Number 5 is episode 89 with Ralph Vieira and Ian Wadley covering movies from 1975 to 1979. This was a tremendous episode, a must-listen. There are stories from Ralph and Ian that have never been told, even on their own podcast. They even joked about it. So definitely check out that one if you're a fan of their podcast and those guys. Number 4 is episode 71, and it's again with Ian Wadley, and this is the Blues Brothers soundtrack. All sorts of great things. We talk about all the great music on that soundtrack, including Aretha Franklin, who just passed away. Number 3 is episode 6, the oldest episode on this top 10 list, and this is our favorite movie soundtracks. And this is when I kind of got a glimpse of how much people enjoy music. And so while I couldn't make it a strict music show, this is kind of a nice way to sneak in some of our favorite songs, but still correlate it back to movies. So this is where we talk about our favorite soundtracks as a whole, as opposed to one specific soundtrack. But this kind of planted the seed that, hey, maybe doing soundtrack reviews might be something in the cards, and it is. All right, number 2 is episode 60 with Talking Movies with Ian Watley, part 2. So you know what number 1 has to be. It's episode 59, the episode right before, which is part 1 of Talking Movies with Ian Wadley. We talked for over 3.5 hours, so there was no way I was going to do a 3.5 hour episode. Let's split it up. I got to add some sound clips, some music and everything, and yeah, you guys love Ian. He's in the top 10 4 times, so yeah, Ian is a character. He says what's on his mind. You guys love it. You guys can't get enough of it, and that's why we have him on. That's why I go on their podcast, because they tell it like it is. You know, if you want sanitized podcasting, look elsewhere, but these guys are the real deal, and I love having them on. All right, let's get to my pick for my all-time favorite movie right now. All right, so for my pick, and if you listen to this podcast enough, you'll probably figure it out, but if not, my pick is the 1980 classic and comedy classic, it's Airplane. There is no movie like Airplane. This was the beginning of all of the satire, all the parody films that came after it. It's based on kind of the disaster films of the 70s. You had Airport, The Poseidon Adventure, Towering Inferno, Earthquake. But it really, actually, there's a movie from 1957 called 0 Hour, where some of the dialogue is like exactly the same. So, no, it's the stars in this film that make it so funny, because they're all serious actors from the past, and they're saying these ridiculous lines, which makes it excellent. So you have the main stars, which is Robert Hayes, who plays Ted Stryker. I mean, just from his stories that he's telling everyone, he bores everyone to death. Like the old woman ends up like just one of them like hangs herself. One of them like just turns into a corpse like immediately after listening to him, and his drinking problem. It's so he tries to drink and then he basically misses his mouth completely and it goes all over the place. He's terrific. And then his girlfriend Elaine is played by Julie Haggerty, and she's equally as paranoid, and she's got this high-pitched voice. They're kind of a nice yin and yang. You got Lloyd Bridges playing Steve McCroskey, and of course, his main punchlines are, I picked the wrong week for, and whatever. So quit sniffing glue, taking amphetamines, all this great stuff. You have Peter Graves, who plays Captain Over, and one of the few times you can actually make pedophilia kind of funny. So, hey, Jimmy, you ever seen a grown man naked? And he says it so matter-of-factly, so, straight-laced, no pun intended. And he has, have you ever been to a Turkish prison? I mean, there's so many funny lines that is so not PC, but it's amazing. You have Leslie Nielsen. This is Leslie Nielsen before Naked Gun. He was in tons of movies before this and very serious roles. He was a serious actor as Dr. Rumack, and I just want to wish you all good luck. We're all counting on you. So, and Don't Call Me Shirley. There's so many great lines. And Robert Stack, who plays Captain Rex Kramer, he kind of plays that tough guy, person who's trying to, get everything straight. And he plays it way over the top and makes it perfect. Steven Stucker, who plays Johnny. Johnny is hilarious. He's always with Steve McCroskey all the time. He just says these absolutely ridiculous things, but he's one of my favorite characters. Being in the airport back in the 70s and 80s, you had the Hare Krishnas and the Church of Religious Consciousness trying to give you flowers and all that BS, and a lot of fun. But then you have the guest stars who weren't the main bit players, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar playing Roger Murdoch has a priceless line in this. And, of course, Barbara Billingsley, who played Mrs. Cleaver in Leave It to Beaver, speaking jive. Otto, who is the blow-up autopilot. It's an amazing movie. I can watch it over and over again. There are so many jokes that you're gonna miss them all, especially when I saw it when I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, and most of it went over my head, but it was still hilarious. I knew it was still hilarious. And every time I watched it as I got older and older, more jokes made more and more sense, and it kept getting funny. I didn't care if the jokes were coming. I still loved it. I never get sick of this movie. I'm going to play some clips, and you're gonna hear some of the best lines from Airplane. But again, the clips don't do it justice. Watch the movie. It's less than 90 minutes long. It's a perfect comedy movie.
The red zone has always been for loading and unloading. There's never stopping in a white zone.
Don't tell me which zone is for stopping and which zone is for loading.
Listen, Betty, don't start up with your white zone shit again.
Would you like something to read?
Do you have anything light?
Oh. How about this leaflet, Famous Jewish Sports Legends?
Yes, thank you.
Flight 209er, you are cleared for takeoff.
Roger. Huh?
LA departure frequency 123.9er.
Roger. Huh? Request vector. Over. What?
Flight 209er, clear for vector 324.
We have clearance, Clarence. Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor? You ever seen a grown man naked? Joey, you ever hang around the gymnasium? Joey, you like movies about gladiators? Joey, have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
I got a telegram from headquarters today.
Headquarters? What is it?
Well, it's a big building where generals meet, but that's not important right now.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Well, I flew single-engine fighters in the Air Force, but this plane has 4 engines. It's an entirely different kind of flying, altogether.
It's an entirely different kind of flying.
And you'll have to talk them onto the approach. So help me, you'll have to talk them right down to the ground.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
But he's an experienced Air Force pilot who flew during the war, so there's no cause for alarm. Henshaw, take over.
What kind of plane is it?
Oh, it's a big, pretty white plane with red stripes and curtains in the window and wheels, and it looks like a big Tylenol.
Chief, this weather bulletin just came off the wire. Johnny, what can you make out of this?
This? Well, I could make a cap, or a brooch, or pterodactyl.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. Johnny, how about some more coffee?
No thanks.
Chief, these reporters won't leave without a statement. How much longer? Stryker, that plane can't land itself. It takes a pilot who can handle pressure. Ease off, Rex. He hasn't flown for years. It's not his fault. Could happen to any pilot.
It happened to Barbara Stanwyck.
Can't push him too hard. He might break. Gotta remember who you're dealing with.
Nick, Pete, Jared, there's a fire in the bar.
Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Number, look at this. Passengers certain to die. Airline negligent.
There's a sale at Penny's.
All right, I'll need 3 men up in the tower. You, Newbar, you must see us.
Me, John, Big Tree.
Stand by, Stryker. We're going to the tower. Good luck. We're going to the tower.
The tower! The tower! Rapunzel! Rapunzel!
Now, Linda, your husband and the others are alive, but unconscious.
Just like Gerald Ford.
Now, there's a chance that we can save them if Stryker can get that plane down in time.
That isn't much of a chance, is it?
I don't know, Linda. I don't know. But we're doing everything we can. Now, excuse me, huh?
Where did you get that dress? It's awful, and those shoes and that, oh, jeez.
Wait a minute. I know you. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You play basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers.
I'm sorry, son, but you must have me confused with someone else. My name is Roger Murdoch. I'm the co-pilot.
You are Kareem. I've seen you play. My dad's got season tickets.
I think you should go back to your seat now, Joey. Right, Clarence? Oh, he's not bothering anyone. Let him stay here.
All right, but just remember, my name is Roger Murdoch. I'm an airline pilot.
I think you're the greatest, but my dad says you don't work hard enough on defense. And he says that lots of times you don't even run down court. And that you don't really try, except during the playoffs.
The hell I don't. Listen, kid. I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA. I'm out there busting my buns every night. Tell your old man to drag Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes.
Can I get you something?
It's your mofo butter laying me to the bone, jacking me up. Tight me.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Cuddy say can't hang.
Oh, stewardess, I speak jive.
Oh, good.
He said that he's in great pain and he wants to know if you can help him.
All right, would you tell him to just relax and I'll be back as soon as I can with some medicine.
Just hang loose, blood. She's gonna catch up on the rebound on the med side.
What it is, Big Mama? My mama raised no dummies. I duck a rap.
Cut me some slack, Jack.
Say Cuddy say
Chump don't want to help, Chump don't get the help.
Say can't hang, say 7-Up.
Jive ass dude don't got no brains anyhow.
All right, next up, you're going to get all of the different people. This is the most guests we've had on since the very first episode, which we did on purpose. We're going to start with our regulars first, and then we'll get into some brand new people. So it's a lot of fun. So thank you again for listening to the 100th episode, and we hope to have many, many more. Well, we're at the 100th episode, and we're going to begin where we started, and that's with my family. We have my mom, Joanne, who you all love from The Jazz Singer and Saturday Night Fever. We have, it took him 99 episodes to come back, but Uncle Daryl's back, and he promises not to talk about Bambi anymore. And then we have my dad, who would rather be anywhere but here. So
You were adopted.
I know that, yes. Anyway, it's amazing I made it 2 episodes with this kind of crowd, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, you guys have to pick one movie, your all-time favorite movie. I think Mom and Uncle Daryl will play along. I don't think Dad will, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, we'll start with my mom because she's the star. What is your all-time one favorite movie?
And it's really hard, but I had to come with... it's my turn, not yours.
Ask me a question.
Okay. Romancing.
You were adopted too.
Romancing the Stone.
You picked that over Wizard of Oz.
I did. I mean, it was very difficult, but I always enjoy watching it over and over again. It has a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. Suspense, action, adventure, comedy. Mm-hmm. So, and I like all the characters.
And the movie wouldn't have been the same if they had gone with the original actor, which was Sylvester Stallone.
Right. Oh, that I just can't see.
So instead of Romancing the Stone, he picked Rhinestone. For real.
Good. It's a good thing. Yeah. It's a good thing. No, I thought the chemistry between
Michael Douglas
and
Kathleen Turner
were great, and then Danny DeVito, he was good in it.
Yeah.
So I can remember watching it. Let's see, Kelly was born in '81, and I remember getting up to do her midnight feeding and watching it on VHS.
Really?
Yeah, I would watch it over and over again. So anyway, that's what I went with.
Romancing the Stone. So if you haven't seen it, good movie. All right, Uncle Daryl, we've tried to remind you what your pick was.
Well,
what are you going with?
I'm going with back into when I was a youngster.
Okay.
I'm going with The Great Escape.
Okay, I was going to say The Jazz Singer from 1929, but that's...
well, thank you. You're my least favorite nephew.
I've been told that many times. So what about The Great Escape does it for you?
It's a war movie. Yeah. And I really like Steve McQueen in
Steve McQueen's. Movie. So that's your favorite? You like that more than Bullet?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I like Bullet, too. That was a good movie.
So and James Garner's in this, and Charles Bronson.
Steve McQueen.
Yeah. No, it's a great movie.
And the English actor, I forget his name.
Oh, yes. Who is the other guy in The Great Escape? That's all right. If I ask this crowd, we might be on here for an hour, so if we try to remember. But anyway, look it up. It's the internet. You can see. No, that's a good pick, but it's a long movie. So
it's very long. I think it's around 3 hours, something like that.
But no, that's definitely one of.
I saw it about 3 months ago. Only it took me 2 nights to
go through
it. Yeah. I watched half of it part, and then the next night. And
you got through it. So that's a great pick. All right. Let's go to the main attraction. And by that, I mean you have a great mane of hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. They took my movies.
You're right.
So, Romancing the Stone, obviously I enjoyed that movie because it has a great writer's arc, story arc.
And you liked the movie so much you created a trivia quiz out of it, which you forced us to take.
True.
Yeah.
True. And didn't charge you a thing.
I know. And look what this has turned into because of it.
And The Great Escape is a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite movie. I have, and see now you're shaking your head, but why do I have to have one favorite movie? Why can't I have 50 favorite movies
because
and not prioritize them?
Because if you wanted to start your own damn podcast, you can do 50 movies. But for this episode, you need to pick one. Otherwise, it's going to be a 50-hour episode.
Oh, this is a damn?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Pick one. And there's the clock, just in the bell. Okay, that's enough time for now. We'll get you for number 200. You can pick your second favorite movie.
This clock's still going?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if you didn't know, my parents' house has how many clocks?
Too many.
Yeah, too many. All right, now the clock's done. Your time's up. Pick one movie.
I can't pick one movie. Actually, come back to me. I might come up with something.
There's nobody else,
yeah, I know.
Bob. You're it.
Oh, no. No, his real parents.
No, yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna make a great escape and go to Uncle Daryl's house because he's a lot more fun. So, yeah.
Well, gee, Daryl, you're more fun because you came up with a movie.
I agree.
That I had to tell you 3 times.
Well, the mind's gone.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other movie I was going to take.
Well, unfortunately, the listeners are gone too. So thanks, guys, for being on.
That's it?
Yeah, and when it comes to episode 200, I'll come back.
Oh, maybe 110? Maybe?
Sure. All right, thanks, guys.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
I want more.
No. It's the 100th episode, and we're back with... Exactly. I don't need to introduce her.
I was trying to.
You've been on almost every podcast. Every time you're like, I'm not going to laugh. And
then I can't.
You can laugh, but you can't not laugh. But this is why people love you. This is why you're my uncle's favorite guest.
Oh.
We just heard him pick The Great Escape, which is great. So I'm not letting you escape yet until you pick one movie. One movie.
One movie.
One movie. I know it's hard.
That is not fun.
And you sound exactly like my dad.
I know. I like it.
The only thing missing here is 42 clocks going on.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
One movie.
Why? Because you sound like everyone else.
That is not. That's so annoying. Like one movie. You should make us to pick one of each genre.
Right.
Yes. So that'll be fair. Now,
if I do that, who's going to listen to a 30-hour podcast?
I don't know. Just like split in a month. So let's celebrate 101 day and one podcast or stuff like that.
It doesn't have the same ring to it for the 190th episode, celebrating the 100th episode. But
oh God. Okay. One movie. That is very hard.
Of course it is.
Because I don't have one favorite movie.
But you have a few that I think, yeah.
So I think my favorite today, because maybe tomorrow it won't be.
That's right.
It wasn't yesterday. It will be like Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
Because it's I love everything about the movie. I read the book when I was 10, 11 years old.
Did you read the book or see the movie first?
I first read the book. Okay. I didn't even knew it was a movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then, yes, I remember it was like 2 volumes. You know, the book were like huge.
It's like 1,000 pages.
Yes, it was like part 1, part 2.
And I read that because my dad made me to.
Now, was this one of his favorite books?
It was. No, he has one more. I don't know how to translate, but he has a movie that is also a book
Okay.
that he loved too. But
The adaptation.
yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I have the book.
Yeah.
And the movie. And then I can watch anytime I want. You know?
That's nice.
Maybe I should make Clara read the book.
You should. Clara's your daughter, and she's the right age because you probably read it at her age.
Yes, I was a little younger than her when I read the first time. And then I watched the movie. I was a little older.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the movie more than the book. Isn't funny?
Yeah.
Because usually you like the book more, but I think I fell in love with Scarlett. Like she was like everything. Like I don't know, she was a great actress, and I love everything about her. People don't like her.
Mm-hmm.
I love Scarlett.
Yeah.
I think she's like a real life type of person.
Mm-hmm. She's a survivor.
But not only that, she was spoiled.
Oh,
and
sure she
likes
was.
the guy that she couldn't have, and she would throw a tantrum because, so everything. And then, okay, she was a survivor, but still. And then she was spoiled again,
Well, that's part of the reason I'm always rooting for Clark Gable, because he's the antithesis of that. Like, you're like, well, Scarlett gets what she deserves. But you on the other hand,
what I love about that movie as well is that we wait for like the happy end, right? As many other movies, like you wait for the Shakespeare ending, right? Like one die or they get married at the end, they get together at the end,
sure.
Right?
The fairy tale ending.
And yes, it doesn't happen.
No.
And it was a surprise to me the first time I saw it. And I saw a few other times to see, not to see, it's going to be different this time. No. Just to
miss
see
the little things.
If I missed something.
Mm-hmm.
And I never imagined that he would leave at the end. And I love that too.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I want them together, but I get why they shouldn't be together.
Right.
That not happen. And yes, he's charming, of course, but she's like the charm of the movie.
Oh, sure.
Yes. So that's my favorite movie today.
Today.
Maybe when I hear that, it won't be
you
anymore.
anymore.
Like, damn, I don't like this movie.
So it doesn't bother you that it's it's almost 4 hours long, right?
Oh, it doesn't bother me. Yeah. When it was played at Stanford.
Stanford Theater.
Yes.
Palo Alto.
I watched twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I knew the movie on the back of my head. I knew everything about the movie, all right, but I was there sitting, watching Gone with the Wind and that beautiful movie theater, eating popcorn.
Sure.
So I went again.
Well, the nice part is if you ever are in the Bay Area, it's really cool because they'll have the real life organ player going in between the movie or before the movie. It's great.
They had in the beginning and in the intermission because they had intermission because the movie is huge.
Yeah.
But yes, it's beautiful, and the movie theater was even more like fascinating.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Well, it's been around since the 20s, so
yeah,
it's kind of a
the
landmark.
little special effects, the fire.
Oh yeah.
That you show. I mean, people. I saw some people in the movie theater. Oh, come on! The movie was made like
it's in color in the 1930s.
Exactly.
So
no, they should.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a classic and it's beautiful. So that's why I love it.
That's why you picked it.
Yes.
Well, very thoughtful answer. We're glad that you laughed in the intro because it wouldn't be the same without you. That's right.
I won't. One day I'm not laugh.
So for the 200th episode, we'll have you pick your second favorite, and then you can pick whatever you were going to pick.
My second favorite is Mary Poppins.
Well, we won't have her on for the 200th episode. Thank you as always, Danielle. For the 100th episode, she's been here from the very beginning. Aww. But in the beginning, she was supposed to be the producer. And that lasted all of 1 week.
The producer who does nothing.
Yes.
I'm comfortable with that. Isn't it like an executive producer and EP credit?
Pretty much.
You do nothing.
You get all the credit, you get all the money. And
I think it's just to like entice celebrities. Like they become the EP on their movie or TV show.
Because I know like Spielberg's executive producer on everything now.
Yeah, I think it's just Like, well, they do it a lot of times to keep big names on something.
Yeah.
Like, you can also give them EP credits.
Yeah.
But it's like,
So that's why we call you super producer. We got to keep you on.
EP, executive producer.
So for this week, it's the 100th episode. So congratulations to us. And
congrats. Yeah. You've been doing a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. She only listens to her own. We're just kidding.
I do not.
But for this one, it was difficult, but I had to narrow it down. Yeah, you can only pick your all-time favorite movie, which I know is impossible, but
it's impossible.
But we're just looking to have fun with it.
Okay. So
all right.
Want me just to declare it?
Well, declare your all-time favorite movie.
And give no reasons why it's my all-time favorite.
Well, no, of course we're going to talk about it.
Okay,
yeah, and that's it. Cut. Yeah.
Okay. So my all-time favorite movie is Giant.
With Rock Hudson,
Elizabeth Taylor, and James Dean. It was James Dean's last movies. He died actually before it was released.
Right. So his third and last movie.
Third and last movie.
Can you name the other two?
The other two movies?
That he was in.
Oh, yeah. Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden.
That's right.
Of course. Are you joking?
I'm just making sure you deserve your super producer status.
I was a huge... the reason why I watched Giant was because of James Dean. Yeah. When I was like in 7th grade, I read I decided I was, obsessed with James Dean and read all about him. I read multiple biographies. I think again it's that 80s nostalgia for the 50s.
Yeah.
So there were all these biographies on him, and so I started reading about him, and then watched all his movies.
Well, he was cool. Like he was, he was handsome and cool.
He was a good actor. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He was a good actor.
It's really, who knows what he would have turned into?
Probably just a bloated alcoholic.
Just like Elvis.
I mean, I'm sure he was drunk driving his Porsche.
Well, back in the day, drunk driving was just driving. So, so what about? So, how often you watch Giant? A couple times a year, or how often?
Probably now. Anytime it would be on, it was something my friends got me. That's like a present. I think a birthday present. They bought me the VHS.
Oh, nice!
Like
the
double
3.
stack.
Yeah.
I think I kept renting it, so I'm sure they had to pool their money, and it was like $70 for videotapes.
Back then,
it was like really expensive. It was like it's not like a $10 purchase on Amazon.
No,
it was like hard to find. So they came across it and were like, oh yeah.
Well, that's why video rental.
Money and get her this thing.
Totally, video rental was such a racket because you couldn't afford to buy an actual licensed videotape.
Yeah.
So you had to rent it a million times, and by the time you rented
or
it,
you try to record it. Remember they came up with those double things, but you had to plug it, like to get it to record, you had to plug them or knock out something. I can't remember.
We did
plug it with cotton.
We used our no. So you had just had the input in and the output and like the auxiliary.
No, but on the actual VHSs, they tried to block you from recording. Somehow, I don't know. Am I crazy?
They did, but it wasn't physically on the tape. Eventually, they came up with a system where it was like some sort of coding where it could figure out if
that you were recording.
And so what happened was certain companies like Universal. So we tried to dub Back to the Future, and you would get this flashing on it, and then when you try to watch it, it looked like your tracking was off, and so it was constantly cloudy. But there were certain
miserable for you.
Yeah, and so so we had a videotape recorder. That was that was our dubbing station.
Yeah,
and then we pipe it right into the VCR. Yeah, good times back then.
Whew, it was a lot of money back then.
Well, that or you tape it off TV, and you're gonna have a million commercials.
We taped it off TV. Yeah, did that too. Yeah.
So Giant is like at least a 3-hour movie.
It's over 3 hours. It's like 3 hours and 20 minutes.
So this is why it's a good pick because
it was actually on the 100 greatest films originally, but then they got knocked off in like 2007.
So what about it
for like 10 years
has always resonated with you?
I don't know. I just love that it's long. I mean, it's long, but it's generational.
Yeah.
I love the family story. I love Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson as well. Just and also the cultural divide, right? She comes from like old money, and I guess it was based on an actual ranch.
It's all in Texas, right?
It's all in Texas, and it was based on some actual ranch in Texas. Like this family, and this family was definitely like rags to riches.
Yeah.
Like they were poor nobodies who then had a successful cattle ranch that then there was oil. They started drilling for oil and became, billionaires, private planes, all that stuff. But Leslie...
Yes.
Elizabeth Taylor comes from old Virginian money, so she was like the refined one.
Yeah, she always plays that role well. She can do.
She does it, of course.
Think people forget what a great actress she was. I mean, she was beautiful, but she was actually she could back up her.
Really great actress.
She's a really great actress.
I love watching her.
Yeah,
I always watch her. So I just think the cast is great. What's his name is in it? He plays the son. I can't remember the Dennis. He's in
Dennis
Born to
Hopper?
Be Wild. Dennis Hopper, sorry.
Who's actually, what his
Dennis
very
Hopper.
first movie
That's
is?
his first. I thought that was his first movie. It's not, okay.
You'll like it. It's a good
What is his
connection.
first movie? Yeah.
Rebel Without a Cause.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah. That's funny.
So I bet he was probably buddies with James Dean.
Maybe. I don't remember that in my biography.
Oh, and another... Sal Minio's in it, too. So it's all...
Sal Minio's in... Yeah, he plays Onhill.
Yeah.
He plays Onhill.
So that's kind of funny, because you have a total Rebel Without a Cause connection.
So cute in that.
I know. He had kind of a tragic ending, too.
Young as well.
I know.
And then, James Dean dated... she famously wrote about it, dated Jerry Seinfeld's mom on Seinfeld, who played Jerry Seinfeld's mom on Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
She wrote about their affair that they had when they were very young.
Really?
In New York. Yes,
that's kind of funny. Just think, he could have been on Seinfeld if he had lived.
I mean, it's so funny looking at her, you're like, you can't imagine.
Really? Yeah.
Like, wow. It's long, it's generational, I can always turn it on. It's also, I just love it's very... I just watched it not like a few weeks ago. The end, probably the last hour, ending, but it was like the last hour I watched with my daughter. So it's all about, the division between the laborers on the ranch and like how they're treated and how they're mistreated. So Leslie, the Elizabeth Taylor character, tries to right these wrongs or tries to take better care of their labor pool. So it felt very relevant to
even today.
What's going on today.
Absolutely.
These children being separated from their families or whatever, just like people needing work and living in horrible conditions so they can work. So it was just kind of explaining to her like, well, it's kind of still like that. It's,
talk to Amazon.
It's a lot like that today. Yeah, exactly. It's just like
you need the job. You're not going to complain. So
No, it's just exactly. I don't know. It was just very interesting. It's like, wow, not a lot has changed. I mean, a bit better, but
well, as always, check out Giant if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and James Dean is really great in it as well. So it's a really, really great performance.
See all James Dean's movies because they're all very, very good.
Rebel Without a Cause, and
it's of the time.
Giant are great.
Yeah,
Rebel Without a Cause.
You're gonna laugh.
I want to watch it. Yeah.
You're gonna laugh because it's like kind of the.
It's very dramatic teen.
Yeah.
It's like so like you just want to smack him. It's just like, oh my god, just go home and do your homework. Get over it. It's like he's the big rebel, but it's without a cause, literally.
It feels like one of those like Just Say No like ads or they would tell or show kids films they would show back then.
Bad.
Yeah. But it's of the time. It's kind of iconic in a way.
I don't know. But, I know it's an iconic film, but it's not.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been iconic if he had lived longer.
Maybe, right? Because didn't it come out? Did that also come out after he died? Or surely, I mean, all of his movies came out close to when he passed.
Was East of Eden his first? I think it was.
I think East of Eden was his first, and then Rebel Without a Cause, and then Giant. And he definitely died before Giant came out. And I thought he died before 2 movies came out.
Yeah, you're actually, okay, so East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause came out in 55, Giant came out in 56. So
yeah, and he died in 55?
Yes.
Or 56?
He died in September 30th, 55. So his 2 movies came out.
Exactly, right before he died, yeah.
Okay, we'll see Giant.
Right,
yeah,
go see Giant.
Thank you as always, super producer. We hope to have you on for the 200th episode where you can talk about your second favorite movie.
Oh my god!
Actually, that's what 200 is going to be.
My second favorite movie, or everybody's second favorite movie?
Yeah.
I have no idea. That'll take a while.
That'll be fun. It's going to be Wayne's World.
Wayne's World? Maybe. What's another movie I can always watch?
Okay, we got back one of our regulars for the 100th episode, and it was tough for him to narrow it down just one, but he did. But Maywin's back to discuss his all-time favorite movie, and I'm dying to know what it is. So what is it, Maywin?
Hey, Brian. It's Mulholland Drive.
Which you've discussed a few times, but I want to hear... I want all the minutia about this particular movie.
Oh, gosh, I can't go into all the minutia. As anyone who's seen the film will well know that the minutia of this film it's easy to fall into because it's got a non-linear plot. It works on an emotional level more so than maybe a narrative level. And because of that, a lot of the gaps that you have to fill in as an audience can be really easy to fall into. And that's part of what I like so much about it is, first, that it's an open-ended adventure in a lot of ways, because so much is deliberately left open to interpretation by the audience that, every time that I see it, I feel like I experience it on a different level. I draw different things out of it. My emotional reactions sometimes shift in sometimes unexpected ways. So I like that a lot about it. And I think one thing I like about the director so much is that I'm kind of assuming that he's putting a lot of faith and trust in the audience to kind of follow the idea of experiencing a film rather than kind of just receiving a fixed storyline. And being confident enough to create something that is so malleable that you can't, you really as an artist, I don't think you can't come to it with an expectation that you control the audience expectations, and that's very antithetical to a lot of what Hollywood produces. Right, so much of the scoring of music for films, the direction, the casting, everything about it is made to manipulate the emotions of audiences from beginning to end.
Oh, absolutely.
His work doesn't do that, and this piece in particular, it just grabs me every time. Another thing I like about it is I feel like I have a little bit of a history with it, like personal history with it. I first saw it when I was in graduate school and living in Southern California, and I have developed a fine love-hate relationship with Southern California. During that time when I was living in Santa Barbara. But I would drive down to Los Angeles on the weekends, to get some escape, get some type of perspective, whatever perspective you get in Los Angeles, that's questionable. But so I drove down to Los Angeles late one night to see Mulholland Drive when it was playing in the San Fernando Valley. And I walked in thinking, okay, I'm going into a David Lynch movie. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
But I did know that, it had been marketed about a mystery about a woman, and that there may have been amnesia involved, and something about Mulholland Drive is like a set piece. So I went in knowing that, which, with most movies, that's, probably I usually don't want to know any more than that going into a film.
Right.
So I went into it, and I came out feeling like that movie had pretty much perfectly captured the way that I felt about Southern California and Los Angeles, as well as the kind of the umbilical cities to Los Angeles, like Santa Barbara.
Sure.
And so, like that kind of trajectory, I felt like I really got a huge amount out of that film, for what I was ready to receive or whatever, just in terms of my own experiences. And I absolutely loved it. It just, the last few shots of the film are really miraculous, just in the way that they managed to twist something that you have been experiencing for like 2.5 hours, and just with a final statement, that final bit of punctuation, they both undermine and emphasize everything that you've seen in a way that really has you leaving the theater wondering what you experienced. For me, really satisfied with what I've experienced, hoping that I'll be able to experience it again, knowing full well that a film like this, you only experience it the same way once,
right?
Or any way once, and any other time you'll experience it very differently. So I like that as well about it quite a bit. Going into a David Lynch film, at least up until that point in time, could be pieced together like a puzzle, which really I've learned since then isn't the point. It's not completely the point. Parts of this movie certainly can be pieced together like a puzzle, but if you get to the end of this puzzle and you have every single piece in your hand, it kind of defeats the purpose. You really need, I think, for this film to be effective, and the reason that for me it is as effective and profound as it is because when I get to the end of this puzzle, there are pieces missing. There are pieces that I've forced into the wrong slots, and I know it, but because I'm so engaged in what's happening, I still do it anyway. Just in terms of like trying to figure out what's going on, figuring out what I think about it, figuring out what things mean.
Right.
of narrative, in terms of metaphor, in terms of symbology.
Well, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out. And as always, thank you so much, Malin.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, for the 100th episode, we have one of our favorite guests who's been there from the beginning. It's my other brother, Brian. How's it going?
All right.
So, this is the fun one. This is the difficult one. This is where you have to come up with your all-time one favorite movie, and it's very hard. And you're taking this very seriously, so much that you wrote a pre-written statement.
Well, yeah, because picking my favorite movie was not difficult at all.
Oh, okay.
But the explaining why it's my favorite movie is probably more difficult.
Sure.
Although, a lot of people might like this movie too. Anyway, so I'll read my statement.
And then we'll get into it.
I'd like to announce that I'm taking my talents to Cleveland Cavaliers. No, sorry, wrong statement.
Another podcast that'll pay you more.
Right.
And are you going to take Danielle and Lindley with you?
This gets the most hits on that.
Exactly.
No. All right, so Star Wars is my favorite movie, and here's what I wrote. Star Wars isn't perfect, but it's my favorite movie. Many Star Wars fans probably like The Empire Strikes Back better, and I would agree that the drama is better in Empire. But to me, Star Wars is a complete coming-of-age tale, which makes it more rewatchable. It features everything I've come to love in movies. Technology, magic and obscure lore with the Force, morality and noble sacrifice, and new places to discover. Star Wars is simply the basis for how I view all other movies. It's my gold standard. Maybe someday I'll come across a movie that I'll want to watch repeatedly, and that gives me the same or better things than Star Wars does, like the ability to go back and find some overlooked detail or to relive the pure enjoyment of something like blowing up the Death Star. But I doubt it.
Yeah, and that's perfect. And this is the embodiment of what we were looking for in your favorite movie, and this is why you had to pick Star Wars.
Yeah. It's just my go-to. I don't know. Comfort food movie.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And just I have a great time watching it every time. I watched it a lot when I'm sick, and it makes me feel better. Just because I don't think about being sick.
Did you see these in order? So did you see New Hope first, or Star Wars as it was called for us?
I saw Star Wars in the theater. I think it was my first movie. According to my parents, it was my first movie, and I was probably like 3. I think it was on I don't think I saw it when it came out in 1977, but I saw it probably on a re-release.
Okay, which they did often.
Which they did, yeah, because there was no home video at the time.
That's right.
So I'm from the dark ages.
and they didn't really show. I mean, it was a big event to show anything like this on television.
Right. And I'm sure I've seen it on television because it was probably shown in the 80s or maybe early 90s even. But yeah, I saw Star Wars and I saw Empire in the theater when that came out. When the first run, and then I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater. And that one I actually still remember lining up for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Being really excited to see it. And as I was saying to Brian offline before this, at the time Return of the Jedi was my favorite movie when it came out.
Yeah.
Because I just loved everything about it, and I was super excited to see that movie, and it lived up to all my expectations. But over time, it's kind of I just keep going back to Star Wars.
Yeah, and those are one of those movies where the hype of the time, you being innocent, the anticipation of something can sometimes cloud you. Yeah. When you're young, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's probably Return of the Jedi maybe is the best of the more kid-friendly movie.
Sure.
Of the original trilogy, just because of the Ewoks and
sure.
It had a happy ending too, like Star Wars.
But it's
sort of happy-ish. It's dark.
It's also dark with Jabba. I mean, that's
pretty.
Yeah. It's kind of gross.
I was 8-ish when it came out, and I was just super excited to see that movie. And I think I actually spoiled myself on the movie because I got the storybook
and the record
before that. I didn't get the record. Okay. I got the storybook, and it had the it was. I read that, very religiously. And I couldn't wait to share it with my friends. Like, can you believe what happened?
So do you ever how often do you go back and watch just the first movie of Star Wars? Or do you always watch it together?
It's been a little while, and since the new ones have come out, I probably have rewatched those a couple times more recently. I wanted to sit down and do a marathon of the original trilogy again. I used to watch it once or twice a year, the Star Wars alone or the whole original trilogy, and I haven't done that as much.
Did they re-release the original trilogy in the theater at one point during the prequels?
They did before the prequels. They did the special editions, which that's a whole other can of worms.
Did you go and see that?
I saw all those because I wanted to see the movies on the big screen again.
Okay.
So I enjoyed that, although there's some problems with everyone's.
Sure.
They've been talked to death, so I don't want to go into.
Well, actually, this brings up a good point. So eventually, I'm going to run out of ideas for Damn Good Movie Memories, and I'm going to go through my DVD collection. Of course, I own the original trilogy. Of the re-release in the original Star Wars, what is different? What did Lucas? Do you remember what Lucas changed, at least in the first movie?
The biggest and most controversial one is where. In the original release of Star Wars, Han shot at Greedo first, and they changed it so Greedo shot first.
Okay.
and everyone got upset at that. I was like, no way, Han was shoot first, and I agree. Like that was, it was the character he was, and I, like it's kind of like a big character moment to show that he would, he knows how to handle himself. He knows what's going on, and he's not going to let someone get the jump on him.
Right. Why revisit?
Yeah, but then to change it to make it seem like, well, he's only shooting in self-defense, it didn't seem...
It's kind of BS.
Yeah, it's kind of BS.
And it created great memes and great T-shirts. That I see it all the time.
Han shot first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was the main one. And then there's a couple... Like where Luke and Obi-Wan are going to the spaceport. They drive in, and there was this whole scene added with all the CGI pretty much crap. Like it totally wasn't needed. It was just like George Lucas was having fun with his computer, so he just put it in there.
Well, that's
for me, like the part that I actually did like about the special edition was the Death Star battle at the end, where they kind of cleaned up the special effects a little bit. Made it look modern, a little more modernized. So I felt like it didn't show its age as much. But.
So I have the original DVD releases. It was like a double disc where it actually keeps the original print on there, except it's letterbox. I mean, it's kind of...
So but still, it's like a collector's item.
Exactly.
They won't sell it anymore.
They won't sell it anymore, and that's why I won't get rid of them. So even though I could have it on Blu-ray, I'm like, I'm keeping my original. My original.
I think you can get that old set, or there's like, I guess probably some laser discs still floating around of the original trilogy. That might actually be letterbox.
Okay. See, I don't know how I try to read up on all this. I can't get a straight answer. I'm like, I'll just keep my original.
I don't know. I don't get rid of it unless you're going to sell it to a collector who's going to pay you a lot of money. But I would keep it just for the record.
I go online to look how much. I'm like, whoa, geez, I bought these for $10 a piece back in the day.
I have the VHS version.
Oh, nice.
It might not even work anymore. I don't know.
Those are probably worse.
I don't have a VCR for one thing.
Keep it. You never know. It's like vinyl.
Yeah.
So Well, as always, Brian, great pick. Nobody's picked Star Wars yet. We'll see if down the road.
See.
We'll see. Thanks as always.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 100th episode, and we have one of our regulars back, and it's Samantha. Welcome back.
Hi.
So, this was difficult for you. You kept going back and forth between a few movies, I think.
Yes.
And you finally, today, nailed it down to the one.
Yeah, because we've been talking about this, like, is this your favorite movie, or is it, like, your desert island, what movie you're stuck with?
Right.
And there was lots of criteria I was thinking about, but I did decide to go with, like, which is one of my favorite films that, like, I will always put on. Like, it's a comfort movie that I like, and I never get tired of it, and just warms my heart. So I went with that as opposed to maybe something that's, like, a little more, like, entertaining in a way. This movie has a lot of components that I like from films, and this is my favorite version. And yeah, I think it's one of my faves.
And Brian I just interviewed Brian, and he brought up a good point. Do you compare all other movies to this one?
Oh.
Like, are there points in this movie where, like, it's just not as, it didn't have, like, the...
Yeah, I think for sure I had to end up going with a specific genre because I do like different genres, and I like, international movies. I like foreign movies. I like foreign movies. I like old movies. I don't watch a lot of newer movies that come out, but when they do, I always go for a specific type.
Yeah.
So this is one, it came out about a little over 10 years ago, but it's one of those types for me. It's my favorite type, and I knew it was something that I do compare other ones too. That's a really good
I thought it was perfect the way you described it. Okay, we built up this tension and the suspense. What is the movie?
So I'm a little embarrassed, but people who know me would know I would pick this. But it is Pride and Prejudice.
I think you've talked about it before too.
Made in 2005.
Yeah.
So there's been a million adaptations of this. It's a book, so it's not an original piece of art.
Sure.
But I really love this movie. I can't help it. And it when it came out, I thought it was just a lovely, lovely movie because it's so I'm a costume drama junkie.
Yes.
I will watch every single costume drama period piece that is made. It's my favorite type of film. Like, if there's a new one that comes out, I will go see it, or I will make sure to find it. And I think part of it is I'm a big reader, and I studied English literature.
It's in your blood.
In college, like, that was my favorite like pastime, really before I got into movies. So I always liked book adaptations.
So you had read this book obviously before seeing the movie, yeah?
Yeah, I read it, and I saw it like when it came out in 2005.
Okay.
And I was, a teenager at the time, and it really encapsulated everything I like with a good period piece. So it's authentic looking.
Yeah.
So they did an excellent job with the costumes. Just the costumes and the sets are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the shots are, it's a beautiful movie. They get the countryside and like lots of long tracking shots. And it also has a really good cast with a lot of like legitimate British actors who are really well known. I hate a period piece when they get people from the wrong place.
Right.
Like if it's a French book and they have people with English accents, it bothers me so much.
Yeah.
Like let's not even talk about Les Miserables. No. Ugh. Horrible. Horrible.
So we'll get into the cast. Keira Knightley's in it.
Yeah, and she's one of my favorites.
Rosamund Pike. Matthew McFadden.
Yeah, and he's a pretty like steady like British actor.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of period pieces. He's also done TV. I think this was one of his like breakout film roles. And then the big ones are Donald Sutherland plays the dad of the family, and Judi Dench.
Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah.
So you gotta have that.
So when she pops up,
yeah,
it's gonna be a good.
It's
movie.
authentic.
And she plays the really mean aunt.
Tallulah Riley and Carey Mulligan, Jenna Malone. So yeah, I mean it's a great cast.
It's a great cast. It's, if you're not familiar with Pride and Prejudice, it's a family of sisters, and so Keira Knightley and Rosamund Pike play the oldest two, and then the three younger sisters are all very important to the book, and I think the actresses they played, they were kind of they weren't like stars at the time, but kind of like starlets up and coming, and it was just an all-around great cast. And even the secondary cast, the guy who plays their cousin, Mr. Collins, is really, really funny. He's been in a bunch of other similar movies, almost. These are very much so like British character actors in a way. Like there's a whole world. If you watch enough British period pieces, you always see the same people.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of cool, though. I mean, that's kind of comfort. There's your comfort food type movie.
Yeah. So you get like a great cast, and then it's an authentic look. Cast is great, and then it's a really good adaptation of the book itself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't follow the dialogue exactly, and the plot isn't exactly similar. There is a miniseries that came out in the 90s that people argue is a more direct adaptation, but I think it's still stuck with the plot.
Okay. Did you watch the miniseries? Or?
Yeah, I didn't really care for it.
Okay.
It was too stuffy, and it didn't look as pretty. So,
Samantha said, stick with 2005. So yes.
Like the first one has Colin Firth, but whatever. It's a good adaptation. Also, the score is really pretty.
Yeah.
So that's something that's important to me. I really like the full package.
Yeah.
It has to be I like that artistic feeling where you know that the director and everyone kind of worked together to make sure it all looked, sounded, flowed well. And I really don't think there's any gaps there.
They put in the extra effort that you appreciate.
Yeah. So it had everything that I liked, and have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh.
But now I kind of have to now. Like I have to, you've praised it so much over the years that yes.
But it's a thing. Like people are either into these movies or they're not.
Yes.
Like there's not a lot of action. You have to follow along with the dialogue. It's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
And
I'm fine with that because I like old movies.
You do.
Yeah.
So there is that parallel. I think why I like this movie, and it picks up on Jane Austen's writing. Like it's a lot of quick dialogue, really sarcastic, dry humor.
I love that. Yeah.
And so you have to follow along and get it. And if you do, it's really funny. Like I think this is a funny movie.
Yeah.
And it's a funny book, but a lot of people don't.
Well,
if you're not into it.
If you're not, but no, I mean,
I get thrown off by the costume stuff, but once I get into the story, it really it doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah.
You recommended 3 Billboards from Ebbing, Missouri. Loved it. It's not something I would rewatch over and over again, but it's a great movie to see once.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
Your documentary, you picked Grey Gardens, which I loved.
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
a fun one.
You know, I go with Samantha's picks because she's right on. Yeah, I haven't seen all the foreign films you've seen.
Okay.
So, that's your expertise. How often do you go back and watch this movie?
If it's on TV, I will watch it. I have the DVDs.
Okay.
At my current apartment, I actually don't have a DVD player.
Okay.
But it was on Netflix for a little while, so I did watch it probably a few months ago. Or whenever I saw it. I watched it a few months ago. However, I did. But I will watch it at least once a year.
Yeah.
Maybe more if it's on more than that. It's a good, I'm home on Sunday and it's cold and I don't want to go outside and I'm just going to watch this.
That's okay. That's what we're looking for. So again, as always, thank you for always being on the podcast. We'll look forward to hearing from you more. And if I ever get Pride and Prejudice in my DVD collection, we'll definitely be talking about it.
Oh, you have to watch it.
I know. Well, that I can just, I'll put it in my Netflix too. Don't worry. Thank you, Samantha.
All right, thanks.
All right, it's episode 100. So we're trying to get back all of the people that have been on from the very beginning, and it's been a while, but we now have Enrica back and a special guest.
Yes, a special guest. This is my husband.
Hello, I'm Akira.
And we were married about a year ago, but we've been together for 10 years. So we've seen a lot of movies together.
That's right.
And a lot of movies apart.
Well, that's good, because then you both have different perspectives. But Enrica has talked about Akira a lot on the podcast, so it's only natural he should be on.
Now he's actually here.
Yeah. I am here to tell you my favorite movie.
That's right. So it's taken 100 episodes when we finally got him, so that's good.
Yeah. He wouldn't come down to Yacht because we only have one car, so.
That's true.
Well, that's why Skype works.
Okay, so of all time, of all the movies I've seen, I think the most memorable and the one that will be my favorite probably for as long as I'm alive is of the movie Babel, directed by Alejandro Inarritu.
Really?
Yes. Isn't that weird? I was this close to saying Free Willy. Honestly. But that is my number 2 because that movie captures my pre-adulthood and the movie that catapulted me into being wow, movies are incredible and they can communicate so much more than you can imagine was when I saw Babel. And I think I was 13 when I saw it. And that's kind of dark to see when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I had read it because I was like, ooh, it's about languages. I like languages. Babel is a thing that I know as a theme. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And all of the different narratives that were woven together by the same themes of communication and the acting was amazing, and I think I got it because I had a crush on Brad Pitt, and he was on the picture at the VHS store. And I was like, I want to rent this one. This will be good. Inspired me to study language and study communication and study the breakdown of communication, and now I'm working.
It's got a great cast. So you get Brad Pitt, as you mentioned, Cate Blanchett,
Yes.
Ellie Fanning, Gael Garcia Bernal, Rinko Kikuchi, just a really well done cast. Michael Pena. So yeah, so when's the last time do you think you saw this?
I think I saw it maybe again when I was 16.
Okay.
I haven't seen it then, so almost 11 years ago.
Okay,
What's your favorite movie?
It was really close between 3 very disparate movies.
Okay.
In the spirit of things, I'll only go with the one I picked as my favorite.
Awesome.
Which is Children of Men, also directed by a Mexican filmmaker, Alfonso Cuarón.
I love Alfonso Cuarón.
And he was, I think, the first Mexican to win the Academy Award.
With Pan's Labyrinth?
I didn't look that far into it. But The Children of Men is one of my favorite movies of all time. I guess it is my favorite movie. And there's so many really interesting things about it. One of the things that I really like about sci-fi movies is their ability to explore something kind of just outside of what is real.
Mm-hmm.
Children of Men, I think, does that in a very interesting way, where it just sort of, the only science fiction part of it really is like the premise of, no new children are being born, and like that's the only aspect that's like
an
very
insanely
sci-fi.
good movie.
So like the sci-fi aspect, I think, is like super there and really interesting. All the actors in it, I think, do a great job. And then also the directing and like the filmmaking is probably some of my favorite, filmmaking. There's this one really long extended shot, just like no cuts. It's just this continuous following of Clive Owen's sort of protagonist character.
Yeah.
This kind of rubble and war zone type thing going on. And it's like a really amazing shot, and you don't realize it's all one shot until you're sort of sitting at the edge of your seat and you're like, how long have I been at the edge of my seat?
Yeah.
It's a battle sequence as well.
Wow.
So there's like quite a bit of choreography and blocking going on where different things are happening, different characters, and there's different explosions and interruptions, but the entire time it's one single shot and you're following one character and you're witnessing all these different plot-oriented sequences. Oh my god, that's so good.
Good. And then,
He's made me watch that 2 or 3 times.
Maybe 2 times, just 2 times.
And every time I'm like, this is so good.
And another thinking through the movie again is that one of the really interesting aspects of it, maybe I won't spoil too much for people, but is that at one point there's a loud explosion and you just hear like this ringing sound for a number of minutes, and it's like that's the sound that you would have heard as this character just sort of like having had something so loud go off in your ear. Sort of sets the tone for a lot of other things that go on. What else?
Is that the one with Michael Caine?
Yeah, Michael Caine's in it. Love Michael Caine.
His character's insane in that.
He plays a really amazing, interesting character.
And does this crazy monologue about marijuana?
He does a monologue.
Strawberry Cop, right?
Yeah, he does a lot of monologues. Michael Caine's a great monologue.
He's fantastic.
Julianne Moore's in it.
Yeah, Julianne Moore.
Yeah, she's really good.
One part of it that I think is really interesting is, although it's still like in this sci-fi universe, it explores some really sort of basic necessity concepts. So for like a long time in the movie, Clive Owen's protagonist character, the problem he has is that his shoes don't fit, or he doesn't have shoes, or the shoes he has are really wet, right? Just like probably a majority of the movie, Clive Owen's character has something wrong with the shoes on his feet. And it's like an integral part of what we are as people, but it's like so ingrained that we don't really think of it anymore. But like if you have a pair of wet shoes on, that's what you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if he's not, obviously going through this crazy experience where he's on the run and the world is collapsing, he's thinking about his shoes.
Yeah.
Like, it explores this, like, we are humans worrying about our own human problems and also just trying to make it through, like, the world's problems. And that was really cool. I love that movie. That was a good one.
And then on another sort of topical aspect of the movie, now that I'm just going through, I guess, the reel in my head, is that there is a significant amount of commentary in the movie about how major powers should interact with the rest of the world and what isolationism can lead to, and all sorts of sort of more political class issues and stuff like that.
So how did you discover Children of Men? Was it something that you saw a preview for, or word of mouth, or what was it?
So I was thinking about this in preparation for this podcast, and I realized that 5 minutes ago.
I appreciate it. That's more than most people.
I realized that I think I saw that long single cut piece in one of my like freshman college classes, and then that sort of inspired me to go out and rent it or find it online. I'm not really sure exactly how I saw it, but then I was like, wow, this is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And then I guess after that, like I just watched it a couple times, maybe like once every other year or something.
When did it come out?
2006.
Yeah.
Oh, so we were in high school.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't see it in theaters.
Yeah. Awesome. Now I have to have you both on at the same time for everything we do. So this is perfect. So I'm so glad we could do this. It took 100 episodes, but we finally did it.
Hey,
episode 100.
I wish I could do a video podcast. That was so cute. Thank you, guys.
Thanks
for having us.
All right, it's been a while, but he's back, and he's been here from pretty much the beginning.
From day one.
Day one. So now we're at episode 100, and you have to come up with your all-time favorite movie, which is hard.
I'm going to go with number 1, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Really?
Because it has everything. It has cool fighting, it has cool music, it has cool like visuals and cinematography, and it's like cut very like fast-paced, like it's just like go, go, go. Outfits are cool. It's like really complex in like a weird kind of like poppy way. Like there was like a period of my life where I just watched it like every day.
Really?
And like to varying degrees of sobriety.
Yeah.
And
yeah, which is better? Is it sober or not sober?
Either way.
Doesn't matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Still holds up.
Even if you're head down the toilet, it's still enjoyable. Yeah, there's just like there's so much going on, and there's like weird things in the background of like the little sound effects and like things like just that people's like faces are doing.
Yeah.
And during one of my multiple views, there's like multiple commentary tracks, and just like leave on the commentary track.
Yeah.
And they'd have like little like random things like, oh yeah, this was because of this, and there's like a lot of little things. It was just like,
what year did it come out?
2010, I think.
Okay, I think so. So you saw this in the theater,
yeah,
and so immediately this was something
immediately it clicked. Immediately, I tried to go home and like find like a torrent rip download, and like I tried to find like the soundtrack right away. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and so you have the soundtrack. You listen to the soundtrack.
Have the soundtrack. Have the Blu-ray. I don't have the 4K Blu-ray yet.
So how often do you revisit? Like every couple months?
I had watched it. So yeah, funny enough, it was like all-time favorite movie, like from the day it came out, like 2010 up till now. But when I started dating my girlfriend, tried to be like, oh, you haven't seen Scott Pilgrim? Oh, wait, do you see this? And just we didn't make it through like really the first 10-15 minutes. She was like, what it like I don't get it, like what are, and I was like, I have to rethink some shit now. Like, wow. But
that's actually a great episode. Like, or that could be a good one. Like, what movie does your significant other not get that you had to redefine?
That you're just like, oof, like that's a red flag and a half. Yeah. But yeah. So to this day,
now we have to bring it up. What's her favorite movie?
Lion King.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna have her on.
Completely different. Yeah, but which is weird because in the ensuing years, she puts up with so much ridiculous crap that I make her watch.
Yeah.
Like, randomly made her watch the 4th Insidious movie. And she's like, oh yeah, sure, that was fine. And it's like, but you won't finish goddamn Scott Pilgrim. It's like, okay, cool.
As always, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay, you loved him on the Karate Kid soundtrack episode. Did very well. And you also loved him on, I think it was the second trivia round with Lindley.
Oh, yes.
And forever known as the Replicant, episode. Or Fiasco, according to Lindley. But he's back. We're happy to have him back. Welcome back, Stu.
Thank you.
So, 100th episode. I made everyone that wanted to participate come up with their one all-time favorite movie, which was hard for most people. Wasn't hard for me, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, you would think it would be, but it wasn't. But you had to narrow it down to one movie.
Right.
Though you struggled with a few. So what are you going to go with?
So I'm going to go with Karate Kid.
Okay.
Right, so...
And then we actually just go with that episode. Thanks, Dick.
Yeah.
Have it on.
Just link it to
exactly.
Really good. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one that I probably watched the most. Because I don't watch a lot of movies over and over again.
Okay. Yeah, people have said that, which
and I know
like
you do, right?
All the time. Yeah, it's like comfort food.
I don't know how you do that.
It's like comfort food. There's something cool about just knowing what you're going to get. And I think comedies lend themselves to that.
Yeah.
And just, like it brings you back in a space and time that may have been good or bad, but whatever, it comes back and I like it. There's something nice about it, but I get why some people wouldn't want to because they want something new. But
do you leave a lot of space in between when you watch something over?
Now I do. When I was a kid, no. I mean, I could easily watch. I'd probably watch The Karate Kid once a week for a year, or something like that, or Rocky, but now, yeah. I mean, because there's so many movies out there now. But when I was a kid, you were limited in whatever your parents had,
That's true.
or what was on TV, which wasn't that much.
Right.
So yeah. So Karate Kid. I mean, and again, listen to the soundtrack episode. We definitely touched upon Stu's love of it. But what quick synopsis. What did this mean to you growing up, and what did it do for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just watching the average kid, go get this training from this master.
Yeah.
And then able to, learn all these lessons at the same time, but then he wins the tournament and all that kind of stuff. So all kinds of stuff going on there. I loved the Miyagi character.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was awesome. And then the more I read about Pat Morita, I was like, whoa, he was a comedian before and all this kind of stuff. And, I'd watch all the interviews with the cast and things like that. And then I told you about that Fumio Debura, the real Miyagi, right?
Yeah.
That really, sets things off. It's like, oh, that's who you model this guy after, and you can totally see it.
Yeah.
Right? And then you look at the backstory of that guy. So there's just a lot of layers for me with Karate Kid, just going through, and you can pick out certain things. You're like, oh, man, I could totally relate to that. I totally relate to that. Me doing judo, going through high school and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect time.
Totally relate to all that kind of stuff. It's like, if you could do it, I could do it.
That's true. Yeah, you have a better build than Ralph, too. So,
but I continue to get my ass kicked all the time. It just wasn't the same.
Well, that's it. That's the good thing about sports in general is it's always going to humble you. You're not going to win all the time.
Yes, and with judo and other sports that are it's you and another person out on the mat, and that other person wants to win just as much as you do.
That's right.
So it's
it may have the exact same talent as you, if not more. So
exactly. I mean, there's different levels of what helps you win, but it's amazing when you step out there. There's no blaming like, oh, it was that guy's fault because he wasn't trying hard enough.
It's all
you. It was you. I mean,
nobody
you can try and blame the refs
and
all that kind of stuff, but it all always comes down.
That's not going to fly.
So.
I think, and I've always said this, you learn more from losing than you do winning.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's what I tell the kids when I'm coaching them. I mean, because you win. How'd you win? Oh, I threw him with this. Great. Yeah. But then when they lose, it's like, okay, what happened?
What did you
take from this, right? And they're like, I don't know. So then the more you talk them through it, they're like, oh, okay, so I need to start doing this and this and right. So then they really learn something and they improve from there. So.
Exactly, and then you don't want to repeat the same mistakes twice. It's just like regular life,
Exactly.
Don't keep doing the same thing. So I think we kind of talked about it. You watch it a couple times a year or some?
Yeah. I think it'd probably be a couple times a year. I see it comes on whatever. Sometimes you'll see it on Netflix or Prime, Amazon or something like that. So I'll just start watching it.
Yeah,
and I don't watch the whole thing all the way through.
Do you ever go back with the sequels, or do you just pretty much stick with the original?
I actually watched. Which one was it? The third one?
Is that where they kind of get the Johnny clone and Kreese comes back? And
yes.
Not Okinawa. It's not Okinawa.
It's not. Yeah. So I like 1 and 2 are probably my favorites, right? And then the third one with John Kreese. He's the Cobra Kai is getting shut down. Yep. He's giving up, and then his rich buddy from Vietnam War, whatever it was. It's like, no way, man, we're going to make this, and we're going to get those guys. Yeah. So I actually watched most of it. And this was probably a month ago. I was like, this is stupid. I hate this one. I just kept watching it. And it's kind of stupid.
An hour and a half later,
I watched the whole thing. And then the next one that came up was the
next Karate.
But I did not watch it. I was like, I've yet to watch that one.
Watch it once just to be completist, and it really has nothing to. Pat Morita's in it. Yeah. It really has nothing to do with the cycle. It's just like, okay, well, we need another Karate Kid movie, and Machio probably doesn't want to be involved.
You gotta suck a little bit more money out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. But I remember seeing the third one in the theater, and my dad just looking at me like, why did you drag me to this? This is awful. Because my dad liked the original.
Yeah.
I don't think he liked the second one as much, and then the third one, he was just like, "This was you just wasted my money." Yeah.
Wait, Dad, there's one more.
Exactly. Yeah, you can go by yourself, and you can even take the car.
Yeah.
And then, did you see the remake?
The remake, yes, I saw the remake, and it's just it's funny because I was looking at the site for all these top whatever movies, right? And then they have the Karate Kid on there, and it was crediting Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio and all that stuff. And they have a preview. I was like, oh, awesome! I'm gonna watch the old preview.
Yeah.
But it goes to the new one, right? I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. No, I feel like it was just literally redone. It was the exact same plot. Everything's the same. just with different actors.
So the charm of Pat Morita's gone with Jackie Chan?
Yeah, totally.
No.
I mean, you're not going to get that back.
No.
That was just kind of magical, I think.
Yeah.
You can't just remake that kind of stuff.
And as you said, Pat Morita was a stand-up comedian.
Right.
I mean, he did comedy, and so even though he took the role seriously, you could see there's glints of humor in him. Yeah, which is great.
He pulls off a lot, like, what was it? The line of "What belt are you?" or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
It's a J.C. Penney.
$3.99 or something like that, right? That's great.
Yeah, it's great. There's a lot of like little things he does in that are just great, and just his looks.
Right.
Like he just give a look, like at the end, like when he beats Johnny, like that's just that smile. It's just perfect, Yeah. No, I don't think anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jackie Chan went the other way, right? He was a martial artist, and then kind of tried to do more comedy, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard stuff where Jackie Chan was coming up at the same time as Bruce Lee, right? And you can't hold a candle to Bruce Lee, right? He's the legend.
Yeah.
So he goes, so I decided I had to change what I'm doing. I can't just do that, right?
No.
So he goes, every time he punched high, I would punch low.
Yeah.
Right? So he just tried to make everything funny.
Yeah.
Add comedy to everything.
Yeah.
And he does it fantastic.
He's
I love
very
Jackie
popular.
Chan.
Yeah.
I don't like him as Mr. Miyagi, so no.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And this happens a lot, where they just want the next generation.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do something like that, I don't know. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Disney does it all the time. They remake their movies. Lindsay Lohan's and all the classic Disney movies, and it seemed to work. But not for Karate Kid. Anyway, as always, thank you so much, Stu.
Pleasure.
And hopefully it didn't take 200 more episodes to get you on, or 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back with Rachel. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You're an old veteran now because you've done high school, you've done college. We are now at the 100th episode, and there's been such a build-up to try to get you on the podcast. It took trivia originally to get you.
Mm-hmm. Because the only way you could get me talking about movies was for me to talk about how much I don't know about movies.
Right.
So that was a good starting point.
But this one, anyone can do, because everyone's got to have at least one favorite movie.
Yeah, everyone can, but should everyone?
Good. That's an entirely different episode, but we're going to focus on your one all-time favorite movie. And this has been, I don't know, maybe months in the making to come up with this one movie. And
there's been a lot of discussion because it was unclear to me when you were pitching this idea whether or not I was going to be talking about my all-time favorite movie or the movie that I could watch over and over again if I was stuck on a
desert island. Which I should have never said because that opened up a whole can of worms.
It really messed me up, man. So I would say that the movie I'm going to talk about today is probably my favorite movie, but not a movie that I would watch over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because it's not very long. So if I was stuck on a desert island with nothing to do but watch this movie, I would have to watch it so many times.
Yeah.
And even though it's my favorite movie, I don't know if I want to watch it that many times.
Okay.
Just because it's over so soon. I would start it, it would be over. I would have time to watch it 40 times.
Did you have a handful of movies in mind?
I did, and all of them felt equally unsatisfying. And I just kept coming back to this one over and over again, and was in denial about it for a really long time, just because I didn't want to be out there saying that this was my favorite movie. It was scary, but it's 2018. I'm living my truth. And I'm here to say
in front of all tens and tens of listeners.
Yes. Yeah. But because I kept coming back to this one movie, I eventually, sort of got real with myself and thought, you know what, Rachel, I think this is it. I think this is the movie you're going to end up talking about. Partially because I realized I have so much to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wonderful movie. People love this movie. No, I'm nervous about it, not because it's controversial, but just because it's ridiculous. But
you haven't heard everyone else's picks yet, so.
That's true. Yeah. As soon as I say it, everyone's going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one."
Yeah.
But
very confident.
Yeah. Well, I have amazing taste.
I can tell. Yeah.
But it's a everyone loves this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Academy Award winning movie.
It's
a groundbreaking Academy Award winning movie. It took years and years to make this movie. It was in production for a long time. It took a long time to do the story. They had to redo the whole movie after it was done because something had to change. And I watched it last week just to really make sure that that's what I wanted to come in here today and talk about. And it is because it was still amazing. And that movie is the 2001 computer animated fantasy comedy
Shrek.
And so if you listen to the first episode that you were on,
Mhm.
you actually allude to it. You actually mention Shrek, and you have a great story about you watching Shrek. You know it better in a different language.
I don't know what better.
Okay, but you would watch it in Spanish.
I would watch it in Spanish because I was bored and had watched it in English 2 times already that day.
And that's why this could be your Desert Island movie, because you could watch it in every language possible.
Well, it could have been when I was 12.
Yeah.
I don't know if it could still be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would just eat a bunch of snacks all day and watch Shrek like 3 times. I was an awesome kid.
No, you have fun. You and Donkey should have been hanging out. So
I really want Donkey to be my friend. I feel like he'd make good waffles.
There you go. See? Okay, so what was the scene? What needed to be changed? Why did they need to redo the film once it ended?
Mike Myers originally recorded all of his dialogue without the accent.
Really?
And then decided to do the accent.
Okay.
And was like, I think this would be better if he had an accent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How much did that cost to redo all that? I mean, that's...
Well, the quote is $4 million.
Jeez.
But that's not really how much like it cost out of pocket. It was more like, or I think what I was understanding is that they took $4 million worth of animation out and did it again.
Okay.
But Mike Myers disputed it, and he said that it didn't cost the studio millions of dollars, but what they meant was that he went, instead of him going in to do 10 sessions, he just went in for 20 but got paid the same amount.
Got it. Okay.
So it was like that much money worth of work, but didn't actually... I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever. So,
but it took more time, which time is money, and you have to keep push back all the, the marketing people have all these movies set up in a certain way. So it had to cost something. So.
Yeah. So he asked to re-record all of his lines with a Scottish accent.
Well, and that's his go-to. If you watch, have you ever seen So I Married an Axe Murderer?
No.
That is like the impetus of Fat Bastard. Like there is a character in there with definitely that Scottish accent. In addition, that's one of the few movies where Mike Myers doesn't actually play a character that isn't him. He pretty much plays it straight. Like he's not like in an outfit or something like that. So, yeah, or doing a voice.
Yeah.
So okay, so again, like immediately when you saw this, you were just like, I love this movie.
Yes,
and this is what I love.
I was 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I was a child when the movie came out. Right, so this movie was marketed towards me. And so I saw it in theaters with my brother and my parents and a family friend, an adult family friend,
Mm-hmm.
and we all came out of the theater like, this was an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And a big part of why I loved it so much too was because the adults in my life liked it.
Yeah.
I was definitely one of those kids, and I think to a certain extent most kids are, where it's like if your parents or your beloved adults in your life like something, like you want to
makes
like
it better.
too. Yeah. So that was definitely a big part of it. But then even when I would go back and rewatch it, I was still just like, oh no, I really like this movie too, because it was a little bit subversive.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a very like Disney loving household.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of fun for me to see all of the like princesses and all the Disney characters or fairy tale characters be sort of different.
Yeah, turned upside down. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. That was fun.
I think that Disney does such a good job at the age ranges. Like pretty much almost everyone loves a Disney movie, all different eras of it. So I think that's how you really make blockbusters, is when anyone at any age can enjoy a film,
And that's what I love about Shrek so much. Is that, even when it first came out, me and my peers, like all the kids, we really liked it. My parents really liked it. I didn't, it was just universally beloved.
Yeah.
Beloved. And it won the Academy Award for Best Animated Picture. And I said groundbreaking earlier because it was the first movie to have won that category.
That's right.
Previously, if an animated movie was up for any kind of Best Picture, it was just Best Picture.
Right.
So yeah, and there's a little bit of, there's humor in it for everybody too. There's of course like all the silly stuff that the kids laugh at.
Yeah,
of
course.
Kind of the slapstick or the fart jokes and all that stuff.
It's just like Despicable Me and the...
Yeah. But then there's like more nuanced things. I actually, when I watched it last week, I noticed something that I had never noticed before. And it was something that I only would have noticed as an adult, maybe as a teenager, but I didn't watch this movie as often when I was a teenager and in college and stuff as I did when I was younger.
Sure.
Just because I didn't have a DVD player. But it's the scene where you see Lord Farquaad, more on him later.
Okay.
And he's like lying in bed and asking the mirror to show him Princess Fiona over and over again.
Okay.
And, he's mirror, mirror on the wall, show her again. So the mirror looks visibly uncomfortable and shows him the same picture of Fiona wistfully looking out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And he just gets all, dreamy and lost in reverie about seeing her. And then he lifts up the blanket on his bed and looks down and makes a face. And then the scene cuts. And I was just like, oh my God,
they did it.
Has a boner.
I think that's the new meme. I think that should be what you tweet too. So I think that you just randomly tweet that out. I just discovered that.
I don't know if I want to tweet. I've tweeted a lot about Shrek in the last couple of weeks.
that would just break the internet.
To sort of gear up.
I wonder how Disney's really careful about what they allow, and that obviously.
It was so quick.
Yeah.
It was so quick. And the fact that I've seen this movie so many times, and a few times having been a person who would be able to recognize that, and I didn't notice it until now. And it happened so briefly.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's amazing. I can't believe they did that. Why his name is Lord Farquaad.
Okay.
And I don't know, there's a lot of claims out there, and one of them is that he was named after an animator whose last name was very similar to Farquaad. But the popular theory is that his name is Farquaad because it was the closest you could get to saying fuckwad.
Ah, okay.
Which is the theory that I like.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
So now whenever I think in my head about Lord Farquaad, I'm like, and especially with the various accents, like with when the three little pigs have their little silly accents.
I want to watch this movie now.
Farquaad.
Yeah.
One of the other reasons why I like this movie so much is the nostalgia factor too, because it came out on DVD right around the time where DVDs were like a new thing. And so with DVDs came bonus features.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons why I watched this movie so much as a kid on DVD was because then I would go back and watch it with commentary. I would watch the special features, the making of. And it was the first time that I had ever seen the kind of effort that goes into making a movie, particularly an animated movie.
Definitely.
And particularly this animated movie. It took like 10 years to make. And at the time I'm barely older than 10 years old myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this movie is almost as old as I am.
Yeah.
And that was crazy to me to grapple with. But there's a certain amount of nostalgia there too, because then when my family would do movie nights, we'd be like, oh, what do we have on DVD? And so we had Shrek on DVD. And on the DVD menu, when you click play, the three little pigs will go, oh, play the movie. And then they run off. And that became a thing in my family that whenever we were going to watch a movie, before we press play, someone would say, play the movie, like the three little pigs.
Great job. You should have been nervous. This is a great pick.
Well, I have a lot of very important things to say about Shrek.
Well, obviously. And we discovered things that I would have never imagined. This is right up there with Thanksgiving.
My legacy is Hard Pass and Thanksgiving and now Shrek. So I promise I have good taste in other things.
Well, wait till we get to other movies and we'll have you back on. So we're just going to build an episode just around Rachel's random thoughts.
We'll just play that game of have you seen this movie?
Yeah.
And we'll just go down the list and shock everyone
and
else.
We'll have it short episodes of Damn Good Movies Memories. It's like yes or yay or nay. Yeah.
People can suggest movies for me to watch.
Well, that actually,
yeah, and all of my free time, which is none.
None. Yeah.
I can watch them and take notes.
Well, I'm glad we got you for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm happy to have been here.
Good. And now you got to tell all your friends because you've been on. This podcast.
I can do that. I can be like, I'm podcast famous.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Again, thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back. We have one of our old-time guests, Stephanie, who's back.
Hello.
And Tracy, who was on the very first episode talking about her first movie experience where I think someone threw up in the theater in the first movie.
Oh, yeah, that was right.
Yeah.
Hi.
So go back and listen to the first episode. So we're now at episode 100, which is amazing. Wow. And we're going to talk about everyone's one favorite movie, which is very difficult, but I didn't want this to be a 30-hour episode. So we're going to start with Steph. She thinks she has her all-time favorite.
Yeah, this is really hard. I mean, I know we've got to pick one, so obviously there's 10, but I think if I have to pick one, it's The Wizard of Oz. And, because of my age and where I am in my life, I never saw it on the big screen. I saw it much later. I saw it on the television, every year. And I remember my grandfather got one of the first VCRs. And so he recorded it on VHS. Yeah. And so, whenever we would go to my grandparents' house, I would put that into the VCR and I would watch it. I think I've watched it at least 200 times in my life. I think that movie there's a spiritual sort of grounding to that movie. You know, for those of you that know me, I'm pretty spiritual, fairly woo-woo. And I, yeah, I mean, I love every frame of that film. I love how she has the power all along. I'm very Oprah Winfrey. You know, Oprah Winfrey talks about this too. This is one of the reasons I love Oprah so much. She and I love The Wizard of Oz for the same reasons.
So have you've never actually seen it in like an old time theater, like a re-release or something like that?
So when I was a grown-up,
Yeah.
we went and we saw it on the big screen, and it's a completely different experience. And then also they did some editing. Like 10 years ago, I think, where they added a few scenes. And it's so jarring to me because just these small scenes where, you know, the wizard, when he's, you know, the fortune teller,
Yes.
you know, and the tornado's starting, and he goes, "Poor girl, I hope she gets home okay." You know, like that wasn't there before.
Oh.
There were all these like little elements that they added in. It's like when Lucas did Star Wars,
Yes.
we re-edited the Star Wars. You can still see those scenes, and they're so jarring. They don't belong there.
They
It's
don't.
like this symphony in your head. But I remember the most powerful thing about The Wizard of Oz is I was always afraid to sleep at night. I was afraid of the dark.
Really?
And my parents insisted that I sleep in my own bed. And so instead of counting sheep, what I would do in my head is I would follow the plot of Wizard of Oz from beginning to end.
That's awesome.
You know, so dun, 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 dun. I can do the whole thing still in my head. You know, to this day, I have almost every single phrase from the film memorized.
So you can still watch it. How often do you still watch it? A couple times a year?
Oh, at least, yeah.
Okay.
Always around the holidays. I don't know why, but I guess because that's when we watched it when
It's
we were
the
kids.
Thanksgiving thing.
Yeah, it always was a holiday thing. So it comes along on the holidays. But what's amazing is you talk about a full circle moment. Both my kids are, you know, in musical theater arts. And this winter musical is The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, awesome.
So the house is filled right now with Somewhere Over the Rainbow and If I Only Had a Brain. And my 12-year-old is going to audition for The Lion.
Oh, nice.
Now my 12-year-old is in like the 40th percentile for height. I mean, she's a tiny 12-year-old. So she's going to go against casting. She's going to hope the casting director can see like the amusement and awesomeness of having a small lion that's ferocious as opposed to having the giant lion that's ferocious.
I'll give you a real-life example of where height doesn't matter. Tom Cruise played Jack Reacher. In the novels, Jack Reacher is 6'6", weighs about 280.
Oh.
Tom Cruise is not that.
And it worked.
Yeah,
It
and
totally
it totally
worked.
worked.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling for your daughter to win out as Lion. My mom played the Wicked Witch in high school. So
Aw.
yeah, that's
so cool.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, you have your blueprint of what Stephanie had.
Oh, that's hard to follow.
So what are you going to go with?
Oh my gosh. So I got shamed last time when I said Central Intelligence. I mean, obviously, it's not like one of most people's all-time favorite. But I'll go back to Amelie because that was one of my favorites when I was, I guess, a young girl.
Yes.
Even though I don't remember much about it now, I haven't watched it that often, many times. I probably watched it a few times at the beginning, and then it's been years since. But I do recall the little gnome that traveled the world, and there was something very sweet about this innocence about it. And Amelie herself is just such a gorgeous woman, and I don't know, there's something, it's just the whole French movie, everything's so whimsical and sweet, and life is so magical, and it's just something that, you know, pulls to your, like, you know, young teenager self that goes, oh, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think I did travel with a little tiny toy, and I took pictures of it everywhere.
So you saw it in the theater?
No, I did not.
Oh.
I got it out on DVD, I believe.
Okay, so and somebody told you about this, or were you just browsing, or what? Yeah.
I think the cover of the
She's got like a cute little
it's got her face
profile,
on it,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that became.
And it was just so sweet. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Really.
I don't know if it really holds up with Central Intelligence, but I think it's an amazing pick. So yeah.
Well, I really do like Central Intelligence.
Well, then we kept going back and forth with this. So this has been like a 3-week process, and then you pinged me My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, I thought that was yours.
Right, and I thought, well, no, that's a good pick for you. But you're like, no, that's not mine. Mine is Airplane.
With the twisted airplane on the cover.
And there was someone else. I'm not going to give it away because of the sequencing of it, but there's someone else I interviewed that's her favorite movie too, and I'll tell you guys off there. The listening audience will have to keep listening to this. But, yes. But that's great. So Amelie, Wizard of Oz, we've had no repeats so far. All right, since it's the 100th episode, this is like very special guest. This is someone I've known since high school. This is one of my high school buddies. We've known each other, God, over 25 years. At least. Easily. We played Little League together. We've been through a lot, and he's finally on the podcast for the 100th episode. It's my buddy Spencer. How's it going?
What's up? How you doing?
So you remember back in the day when I was doing college radio, you'd call up.
I'd call up and say I want hard rock.
Yeah, you want hard rock, and you would vote for what I was doing, and
drive your partner crazy. It's hysterical.
But she loved it, and you would say that stop playing Jody Watley, and she would say I don't play Jody Watley.
I guess you do, liar.
So there were good times. It was good times. So, but I finally get you on the podcast for the one question, which is, what is your all-time favorite movie? You can only pick one.
My all-time favorite movie that I never get sick of, like even if I see it on TV, I'll watch it. That is Return of the Jedi.
Really?
It's not, I love Star Wars in general.
Okay.
I love I don't dress up or anything like that. I'm not the cosplay kind, but I do love watching the movies. That's the last movie I saw in the theater was their current, The Last Jedi. But Return of the Jedi, just something about it.
Did you see that in the theater when it first came out?
Yes.
Okay.
Back in '84.
Yeah.
Yes, I did see it. That was my first
Star Wars
movie I saw in the theater.
Yep.
My mom got me a lightsaber and got me the shirt that said Return of the Jedi on it.
You still have it? It'd probably worth something.
No, I don't know. She might have put that in the Goodwill.
Okay. Damn Goodwill, yeah.
That darn Goodwill. It was Return of the Jedi. Just something about it. Just the effects. I think the good versus bad.
Yeah.
The underdog versus the whole story.
And you like
overcoming the odds.
Now, do you like the Ewoks?
All right.
Because a lot of the Star Wars purists didn't like. They thought it was too kidsy.
To bring the kids in, they had to do it. I mean, I didn't have a problem with them personally.
And you were a kid at the time.
And I was 6 when it came out. So what was not to like about the Ewoks? What's the problem?
So you like that more than A New Hope or Star Wars, and you like it more than Empire Strikes Back. Interesting, because most people pick Empire Strikes Back.
It was all right.
Okay.
It was all right, but Return of the Jedi was my all-time.
That's your all-time
I will
favorite.
still watch that if it's on from start to finish.
That's it. I think you're the only one that's picking this. This is why I had you on.
Yeah, so
great pick. Well, don't be a stranger. You can be on at any time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Spence.
No problem.
Okay, we're back, and we have a first-time guest because we get everyone comes out for the 100th episode. The other 99, who cares? But for this one, we get Emily, who I work with, and this is awesome. And so she was actually a broadcasting major as well at San Francisco State, and this is going to be great. And so she's here to talk about her favorite movie of all time. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So what is it? We're all waiting for in bated breath. So what is your favorite movie of all time?
Rosemary's Baby.
What was the first time you saw Rosemary's Baby?
I think I was about 17.
Okay.
Went to this janky little video rental store for the first time because those existed at the time.
Yeah,
and,
I missed those.
Yeah, and my friends wanted to have a horror movie festival, and that was what the guy behind the counter said, and I'm like, okay. But when the time came, my friends all kind of got freaked out too early.
Oh, really?
And so I'm like, all right. And I went home and watched it by myself in our living room and just completely fell in love. So
yeah.
What really gets me about it is that the actual horror elements are all incidental.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's really just gaslighting the movie, but it's... Oh, man. I was expecting, it's going to come out of the TV, but no, it's very, very subtle.
Yeah.
And I think it's perpetually in my top 10 list of movies for me personally. I think it belongs very high in the horror canon overall.
Yeah. So, so Lindley and I have talked about this. We sometimes have problems with Polanski and Woody Allen just because of their personal lives. That being said, I can still watch Chinatown and basically disassociate from his personal life with his professional life. Same thing with Woody Allen. Can you do that with Rosemary's Baby?
Oh, I admit I haven't looked far enough into Roman Polanski. Yeah. Probably because I like it too much.
Right,
Yeah, I have not looked as deep as I might. Full disclosure.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I won't get into it. People that want to look up Roman Polanski, check him out. And he can no longer live in this country because of certain charges. So we'll leave it at that. That being said, Rosemary, Mia Farrow is tremendous in this movie.
And what because admittedly I fell for the plot.
Sure.
And so I went digging for the novel first.
Yes.
And that's where I deep dove instead.
Okay.
Because I think that's really more of the back burner thing, and it's Ira Levin who also wrote The Stepford Wives.
Nice.
Which is pretty much the same story.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
That was a phenomenon,
Yeah.
like when it came out as a TV movie. Yeah.
Yeah, gosh. I haven't seen that one, but the book is great.
Yeah.
It's,
so do you prefer the book or the movie for Rosemary's?
it is almost 1-to-1.
Which is interesting because it's tough.
There is one little piece of dialogue they leave it at the end, and I wish they put it in. It was great, but that's.
So what is it?
So the very, very end, the leader of the coven, the older man, is. They're having a conversation about like, okay, Rosemary, please take care of your child because he's here.
Yeah,
you ought to. And she finally says, "What's his name?" And the leader of the coven says, "Oh, Adrian, from my father." And she puts her foot down. She says, "No, this is my child. His name is Andrew." And everyone's like, "Okay, hail Andrew."
Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah.
Okay, like, give her something at least.
The ending is so interesting because you expect like this grandiose, like something's going to happen. And it just kind of ends eerily. Like it just kind of is. It's ominous and
because the larger dialogue there is not just how it ends. There's another one of my pet topics. Is I feel like most horror that stays with you is about a different stage of a woman's life. And this one, again, it's a terrifying story even without the involvement of the coven.
Yeah.
It just happens to be there. That's what puts people in the seats.
Yeah.
But you don't even need that in there. And if you think about it, if this woman had this baby and nothing malicious had happened, nothing supernatural, that's how it would end also.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, it's almost got a Hitchcock feel to it. It's not what you see, it's what you think you're going to see.
Yes.
And I think that's what's terrifying about this movie, because your mind is racing about what's going to happen, and it's very suspenseful, and I think that's why the movie holds up well today.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just cheap schlock horror, so you could watch it. How often do you watch it? A couple times a year, or how?
Probably about every 6 months.
Okay.
I've been I'm working on a website. It's not going to be ready by the time this comes out, but it's I'm tracing movies that pass the Bechdel test versus how violent they treat women. So just this kind of index of objectification.
Sure.
And I name drop it, but it's not going to be ready.
So no, when you you'll come back on, you can promote it.
There we go.
That's good.
I finally got really gearing on that, and I realized that I never put it in. So I just watched it again a few months ago, and just blew my mind. It does pass the Bechdel test, by the way. Pretty early on. Yeah, and I'd say approximately every 6 months you just get the itch.
Yeah.
Right?
To watch it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what this episode's all about. Like, you never get sick of it. You have to watch it. It's fresh every time you watch it, and that's what's cool. Speaking of Mia Farrow, of course, her haircut is it changed the style of way women were cutting their hair. I mean, many adapted their hairstyles after Mia Farrow after this movie. Yeah, which is pretty cool. And again, it's John Cassavetes. Is he the?
I think so.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's her husband in that, and he's equally as good in this film.
Yeah. Oh man, he is subtly disgusting.
Yes.
And it's great.
Yeah. No. Everyone that they really casted well.
Oh yeah. It's I don't know if I should make it through here, but the older the Castevets do not look unlike my in-laws.
Oh really? Well, maybe we won't tell them that you're on this episode. So.
Right, just leave it on out. It's extremely relatable. Everything that you're afraid of could happen to you.
Sure.
How horrible it must have been to be a woman in that era. Thank goodness we had male directors to tell us about it. But just the whole constant feeling like you're trapped under glass.
Yeah.
Like it really. I suppose the only way to get that across is in a movie.
Sure.
The novel does a pretty good job, but in the novel, she has been to college.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if that ever comes up in the movie, but
that's true. Yeah.
Kind of vague, but it essentially to get a Missus degree.
Yeah.
And so she knows that. And it's very much. I'm glad I watched it when I did because it just really teaches you as a young woman that things are not always what they seem, and that's a very relatable thing. Again, I was about 17 when I first saw it, and the whole concept of, like, not everybody older knows what they are doing or is looking out for you.
That's right.
That's very frightening, and in a lot of ways, it's the same thing. She's a young married. She wants to conceive. He doesn't. He's just putting up with it.
Yeah.
it really has helped me define how I let other people treat me.
Sure.
And I think that's the most powerful part of it.
And you go in with your eyes open
Yeah.
in any situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and she is a very well-defined heroine, I think.
Yeah.
Like cracking jokes.
Sure.
And, like maybe if we don't know her educational background, but we know enough about her personality to really fall for her.
Have they ever tried to remake this? Because usually that fails miserably. So.
I'm so mad about this.
Okay.
The Zoe Saldana one?
Oh, they did?
No,
I have not.
Okay.
Usually when something's a classic, I avoid the remakes.
Yeah, this is, I thought badly, but it's a 2-part TV thing.
Okay.
I think it's still about 2 hours all told.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the first half, she has not had the sex.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it takes place in Paris,
Mhm.
and you get a lot of shopping porn and the Castavets cursing other people.
Interesting.
So that kind of it just drops their credibility immediately, and yeah, I mean, they give her a career, like she's a dancer and stuff.
Sure.
So I guess that's nice.
That's nice, yeah.
But yeah, I got through the first half, and I'm like, why did you do this?
Yeah.
And yeah,
shouldn't have gone there.
I bailed. Yeah.
Well, this has been excellent. Thank you for your debut, and I hope you're on more about this, and you come on and you can promote your website when it's created, and I think that'll be awesome. So thank you so much, Emily.
Of course.
Okay, we're back, and we have a first-time guest, and it is Fatima, and I work with her, and so I was looking for volunteers for the very special 100th episode, and you were kind enough to volunteer, and I'm happy you're on the podcast, so welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Okay, so you picked a new movie,
Yes.
and this is going to be all-time favorite movie, and just before we got into it, before we started discussing all this, you tell me you don't rewatch movies ever, so why is that?
So if I do,
Mhm.
if that were to happen, it would be because like it's been 10 or 12 years and I
Mhm.
forgot what happened.
Okay.
So like when I was a kid
Mhm.
and I like don't remember, so then I would rewatch it.
Okay.
That's the only time I really rewatch it.
Okay.
Even though I love certain movies, it gets kind of boring. To
Really?
Me. Yeah.
So
I
there's-
like watching new things instead of like rewatching.
Got it. Okay. So that's interesting because usually, at least here, these are the movies that people wanted to rewatch over and over again. That's why they're the favorites. So we have a different perspective here, folks. This is good. Okay. So what is the movie that you're picking as your
So
favorite
I
movie?
picked Black Panther
Okay.
because I watched it in theaters and then like 2 or 3 days later I watched it again in theaters.
So there's a good criteria. There
Yes.
you go. All right.
And that's how I was like, okay, if it's like the one movie I've rewatched and it was within like a couple days. It
Right.
wasn't even like a couple months, a years for me to forget anything.
Yeah.
I was fresh in my mind and I wasn't bored
Yeah.
rewatching it. I was like totally like I was into it. I loved all the scenes.
Yeah.
I was like so excited. Even though I knew it was coming, it wasn't boring at
It wasn't
all.
boring at all. And it's not a short movie. I mean, it's 2.5 hours about. Yeah. So that also factors in. So you weren't bored for a 2.5 hour movie. Now, have you seen all of the Marvel movies?
Almost.
Okay.
Almost all. Yeah.
So obviously, of all the Marvel movies, this one sticks out the best for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about Black Panther is better than the other Marvel movies for you?
I think it was refreshing, like everyone mentioned, to have like almost all black cast.
Yep.
Instead of having like the sidekick be
Sure.
like black. And then I also like after watching it, I read a lot of like different articles about how generally what'll happen is they'll have all the lighting and makeup and everything set up for the lead, who is
Mhm.
usually white, and then
Mhm.
the black person gets washed out.
Interesting.
Or gets like some sort of like they don't get the primary, treatment. So then their color gets washed out or something
Mhm.
gets like they just don't look right.
Got it.
But in this movie, since almost everyone was black, it
Yeah.
was like catered towards them. It was
Mhm.
beautiful, all the colors, everything. So I really liked that. It was really nice.
Mhm.
It was really refreshing just to see like that and also the culture and everything. Even like down to the accent.
Yeah.
I even like looked that up and I think it was a Kosi accent that
Okay.
they used. And I love that too. Just like hearing them speak in
Mhm.
that accent and then like hearing them like in interviews like
Yeah.
where Chadwick Boseman is talking in like his regular I'm like whoa
Oh yeah.
no go back to
Yeah.
Black Panther.
Well, he is a great actor because
He
I don't know. Did you ever see 42? Which is
No,
okay. So,
no.
so that's a story about Jackie Robinson, who was the first black baseball player to professionally play, and he also played James Brown, the soul singer. He played Thurgood Marshall, who was one of the Supreme Court justices. So he's like one of the like historic like he plays usually past people, like historic people. So it was kind of interesting to finally he got a starring role in a non historic role. So that was good. And also Michael B. Jordan plays the main villain. And he's great in that. Have you seen Creed?
No, that
Okay.
after I watched this
You wanna
movie,
see
I was
Creed?
like, okay, I'm gonna watch Creed. And then I think there was another movie by the same director that was also really good.
Yeah, right. Is it Ryan
Um,
Coogler?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
mhm.
I don't know if it was the one based in Oakland or was another movie. I forget the name now.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Yes, it's based on, I think, the BART shooting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I'm forgetting the name now. But
Yeah.
after that, I was like, okay, these are on my list.
Uh-huh.
Like, I gotta watch them.
Well, the great part about Black Panther 2 is it takes place in Africa. So, and you don't see many movies, let alone new movies, taking place in Africa. So it was nice to have, like, the Marvel superhero.
And like a rich Africa.
Exactly.
With, like, the hidden, like,
Yes.
everything. Not just, like, desert and
Exactly.
emptiness.
And a good chunk of the movie is there. I mean, part of it takes place in Oakland, or what they say is Oakland. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's really Oakland. But, it was interesting. So as a Bay Area native, that's kind of fun to have the Oakland angle of that. Okay, so if Black Panther 2 comes out, are you going to see anything with Black Panther in it now? So
Probably.
Okay. So, yeah, I think he's in the new Avengers movie. I still haven't seen the new Avengers movie.
The Infinity War?
Yeah, I believe he's in.
No, I see. Because I haven't watched all the movies, I was like, okay, I gotta make sure I watch all of them before
Yeah.
I watch Infinity War.
Okay.
So I'm like, I think I have 2 left, just to like.
Mhm.
I rewatched them, but okay, no, I rewatched. I didn't know I rewatched it
Right.
until I was like halfway through the movie, and I was like, oh, I've watched it because I don't watch. I
Of
don't
course,
rewatch
yeah.
movies.
So we can't cheat here. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Confirm.
No, this is awesome. So thank you for picking this. And if you ever want to be on the podcast again, just let me know.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. Okay, we're back, and we have 2 special guests. Terry, who hasn't been on in a long time, but she's got to be on for the 100th episode. So she graciously. That's right. This is the 100th episode.
100th episode.
This will be the 100th episode.
So exciting.
I know. And so to double the fun, I nabbed Christina, who just happened to be hanging around actually doing work, but who wants to do work on a Friday?
who does?
Yeah. So,
Welcome, Christina.
yeah.
Thank
so
you.
debut podcasting episode for Christina. So this is very exciting.
Wow.
Yay, I'm excited.
You can just feel it bursting out of the
I totally
speakers.
feel it.
Okay, we're going to start with Terry. And so the theme for the 100th episode, and it's difficult because you have to pick one movie. The movie that you never get sick of. It doesn't matter what it is. You absolutely adore it, and you watch it. Maybe you watch it once a year, maybe you watch it twice a year, maybe you watch it every month. I don't know.
Mm.
What is the one you're going to pick?
Mine is Grease 2.
So not Grease.
Not Grease.
But Grease 2.
Grease 2. I can watch this over and over and over again. It's a movie from the 80s.
Uh-huh.
So if they digitize it, if they refreshed it, I will watch it over and over.
Okay, so did you see? Okay, which one did you see first, Grease or Grease 2?
I actually saw Grease 2 first.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
why I like Grease 2 more than
Uh-huh.
Grease. And the reason I could watch it over and over again, because I first watched it when I didn't know much English.
Oh, okay.
And so, and they had they had a song about female reproduction
That's right.
and all that stuff. And I didn't know what they were talking
No.
about. I was very young.
Mhm.
So each time I watch it, I learn something new or
Mhm.
oh, I didn't know this before.
Yeah.
Now I finally get it.
What a great way to learn English, right?
I still have that song stuck to my
Yeah.
head. Yes. Yeah, and I also really like Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie.
Right. One of her early films might have been, I don't think it was her film debut, but it was close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I can't remember the guy's name, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So Grease 2.
Grease 2.
Nobody's going to pick that. I like that. Great job, Terry. Okay,
Thanks.
so now it's Christina's turn. She's going to lean in so she can talk into the mic. Okay, I'm dying to know. What is your all-time favorite movie?
American Beauty.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so did you see it in the theaters when it
I
first
saw
came
it in the theater with my mom, which was a little awkward.
Okay, yeah, because there's some very kind of racy scenes in it,
Yeah.
especially between Kevin Spacey and, God, I forgot her name. She was in American Pie. What is the blonde's name?
We call her the blonde lady.
The blonde lady. Thank you. This is perfect. On Damn Good Movie Memories, we forget the name of it. But yes, she's in American Pie.
Mhm.
And so what about this movie? What does this make, why is it your favorite?
Just because it's really weird and dark.
Mhm.
And there's this one character, I forgot his name,
Mhm.
but he is really attached to his camera. And
Yeah.
he just kind of likes to film people from his window.
Yeah.
And I don't like to do that myself.
Good. I'm glad. But
I
you're
just-
a good photographer, though. So
Oh,
that's,
thanks.
yeah.
I just like the way he thinks and how deep he is.
Yeah.
Just really mysterious,
Mhm.
and the characters are just all very unique.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to remember. So he likes, is it Thora Birch? Is that the girl in it? The brunette?
he likes the brunette.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a dark movie. And knowing Kevin Spacey, what they found out about him now, it kind of fits his whole
does.
persona and everything. But this is fun. This is interesting because I remember I saw it in the theater, really enjoyed it, but I haven't seen it since.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that you picked. So how often do you go back and revisit it?
I haven't in a while.
Okay.
I think the last time I saw it was about 5 years ago. Yeah.
It still holds up well for you.
It does. I bought the screenplay.
Oh, really?
On Amazon because I just really liked the writing.
Uh-huh.
At that time, I was studying to be a director, and I wanted to be a screenwriter too. So just like everything that was said in the movie just really reached me. So.
And I believe did it win an Academy Award for Best Picture?
Yeah,
I want to say yeah, and I think Kevin Spacey might have won for Best Actor. So
yeah, he's
anyway,
great.
yeah, exactly. So far, everyone's picked something different. You guys kept the streak going, so I'm happy we're on the podcast. You're welcome anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe for the 200th episode, you'll be on for that one. So
Okay,
we'll do your second favorite movie. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Terry and Christina.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, we get a round table for this, so everyone comes out for the 100th episode. More like I just kind of make them come on the podcast. So that's what's happening on this one. But we have 4 people. We have Diane, we have Catherine, we have A, and we have Patricia. But we're going to start with Diane first. And it was difficult because, as we're going to find out from Catherine, she can't pick just one movie, but I'm making her only pick one movie. So Diane, let's start it off. You're the veteran. What is your all-time favorite movie?
My all-time favorite movie would probably be Star Trek First Contact.
Okay, and what year did this come out?
1996.
Okay, see, this is a damn good movie memory. That's why you're on. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about this one makes it better than Wrath of Khan, better than, all the previous ones?
Greatest movie villain, the Borg Queen. She was awesomely scary.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you look at her face is all white, her skin's all white, it's sort of slimy looking. She's got like things crawling out of her head, and
now we don't even have to watch it. With that
description,
this is great.
Yeah.
Catherine, you have to pick one.
Yeah. So ultimately, I'm gonna go with "In the Mood for Love" by Wong Kar-wai.
Okay.
I have no idea what year it came out.
Okay. And I haven't seen this. So this is the first movie I haven't seen that someone's picked. So this is good. So explain. So for someone that hasn't seen it, quick synopsis.
It's hard to do a synopsis without sort of spoiling it. It's two people end up renting a room next to each other, and a story develops.
Okay.
It was actually filmed that way, where I think there was a rough idea of the kind of mood they wanted, but not an actual dialogue or storyline. And then the story kind of came together.
Got it. So what about this makes it your all-time favorite?
I recommend it to everyone who has not seen it before.
Okay.
And I think Miguel put it best. This movie made me feel things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could persist on this, but I might just leave it there. So what I'll ask. What would it make you feel?
Beautifully shot.
Okay. So the scenery and the...
Yeah, it's kind of slow paced, so you really stew in the moment.
Sure.
There's a handful of camera moves that I think are just perfect to capture the mood of the moment. And the way shots are framed, the actors are beautiful. The music is it is just an all around experience.
So for you, it's like a perfect film.
Pretty damn close.
Okay,
pretty damn close.
Good. That's it. I think that's the best we're going to get out of Catherine on this. So, so did you see this in the theaters when it first came out?
No, I did not.
Okay, but you revisit it often?
Yeah.
Okay. See, that wasn't so hard. Good job. Great job. Okay, let's go to A. What is your all-time favorite movie?
I'm going to have to go with Doctor Strangelove.
Okay, so this is a more traditional pick. This is a good one. No one has picked it yet. What about, obviously Peter Sellers is a genius, but what about it makes it your favorite?
Yeah, so I've learned about it relatively recently, within the past year or two, when I took a history class on American film and how that kind of evolved into, the blockbuster era we are in today.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strangelove was the film that we used to kind of analyze Cold War era sentiments and how controversial it was to have a film like that when the threat of nuclear annihilation was in the forefront of the American public.
Yeah.
And watching it now and just seeing all this, I think why I like it is how I can see it can be controversial.
Yeah.
We might not understand it today as much, but making those connections are really cool.
Yeah, especially in the 60s, you know, the height of the Cold War, you had also the, you know, the Bay of Pigs, the Cuba problem. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on around there, a lot of turmoil. So now, especially with the whole Russia and the news and everything, you can almost go back to it, and maybe it resonates better now than it did, say, 10 years ago.
Right, so like you might have someone in school who might have had like, you know, a nuclear war drill, which is pretty much get on your desk.
Sure, yeah.
That'll save you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then afterwards go watch the new movie that's ends with the world ending.
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah. But no, it's a great movie. If you're a film buff, it's got to be on your top, 100 list of films to see. And it's in most of those, top films it's on there. So great pick. All right, Patricia, do you know now what you're going to pick?
Oh dear. I went through about 5 different options in this conversation alone. The one that keeps floating to the forefront of my mind for me is going to be a recent one that came out, which is Arrival. And one of the main reasons for that is I'm a linguist. It's the first movie I've ever seen in my that came out in my generation that depicts linguistics at all.
Yeah.
And furthermore depicts it in a way that I would find accurate and fair. So I like that. When I watched it in the theaters, I was just kind of blown away the whole time. I never predicted the end of the story, which I loved. A lot of the times I watch a movie and I'm just like halfway through.
You know what's going to happen.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not a book adaptation that went wrong.
Good.
Which is a huge deal for me.
So did you read the book first, or did you go back?
I haven't read the book, so I don't know.
Okay.
It might be horribly wrong, actually.
Do you want to go back and read the book?
I'm not sure. It might ruin it for me. I loved a lot of, childhood classics like Harry Potter and stuff like that, but they anger me because they're not exactly like the book.
It's interesting that you love the movie so much you may not go read the book.
I liked, I picked that one adaptation. I liked it. I don't want to go read the book and find out that actually it was totally different.
No.
In that original context.
All right, guys. Well, this was easy. See, this was completely easy. I think there's strength in numbers. I think that's what we're gonna have to do from now on. But again, thank you all for being on. And if you ever want to be on again, we can do this, or maybe we'll do it for the 200th episode. We'll do your second favorite movie for Catherine. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for hosting.
Okay, we're back, and we have a new guest to the podcast. That's Amy. Welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here.
Okay, so for the 100th episode, we were asking people, and mostly people that haven't been on yet, to talk about their all-time favorite movie, which is very hard to do, to narrow it down to one, but I did that on purpose. Otherwise, this would be a 10-hour episode.
Yeah.
So, what I want to know is, what is your all-time favorite movie, and why? And you sent me your pick, and I had to look it up because I'd never heard of it. So this is great. So I want you to talk about it, and why is this particular movie your favorite movie?
Yeah, so my favorite movie is The End of Evangelion, and it might be a bit more obscure to American audiences, but it basically gave Japan like a cultural hangover for like 20 years after it came out. The movie, well, not the movie, and the show had such an impact actually that they recently unveiled like a new high-speed train design based off one of the things in the movie.
Really? Okay.
And so when you see like even the government, invest that level of infrastructure to make a cultural reference from 2 decades ago, there's probably something there.
Yeah.
Or at least I hope, because I've spent a lot of time
in Japan.
Not in Japan, but looking for meaning in this film.
Got it. So so since this is, I'm assuming you were born in the U.S.
Yes.
So how did you discover this film, and what resonated with you?
So actually, I found this film because I used to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
And one day my friend comes up, who is the dungeon master currently, and he's like, all right, you got to learn this new system. And I'm like, what? Because I have a stack of books almost as tall as I am on the D&D. He's like, just trust me. And then learn this adaptation for this new system that modifies it. I'm like, okay. He's like, which makes sense after you watch this anime. And I was like, I hadn't really watched anime at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And
so how old were you at the time when you were?
I was probably like 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe younger. It all blurs together.
So when did this movie come out?
I think it came out in like 1995 range.
Okay, so it's over 20 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Or at least the show did or something, and it came right after, so...
So it started as an anime program and then became a feature film? Or this is the film based on the program?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I ended up watching the whole series and then the movie, and I was totally blown away because I'd never seen anything like it before.
Okay.
And I still today have yet to see people do the things that the movie or the show did.
Right.
Or they're more rare than what you see in a lot of movies that come out.
So which one do you prefer more, the show or the movie?
So this is actually a topic of huge debate because the show is supposed to replace, in a way, the last 2 episodes of of the series. And those are sort of infamous because the last 2 episodes of the series happen entirely inside the character's head.
Okay.
Not as in like a dream sequence, but in like a psychoanalytical kind of, oh my God, is it worth being alive kind of thing.
Right.
And a lot of fans got pretty mad. I actually thought it was really good.
Okay.
So in some ways, people suspect this film is like what's happening outside the character's head, but it's also a subtle nod from the director as almost like a hate mail back to the fans saying like, you didn't like my original ending, so here's something that totally subverts it, but only if you've paid enough attention. And I actually like both.
Okay.
I think both are fantastic, but like, I think that's kind of funny too, because it can definitely be read as like a middle finger to the fans, because the fans sent the director death threats after the last 2 episodes. They said, how could you end it like this?
Yeah. So very passionate about this particular series and film. Interesting. Okay, so how often do you go back and rewatch this?
So I've probably watched the series and the movie 5 or 6 times now.
Okay.
And it always, I love the movie because not only is it, a part of a piece of media that has deeply affected me over my life, but also because it's got great action and animation. It does stuff in filmmaking that is very, avant-garde, I suppose you could say. It takes out of the animation and starts showing like overlapped real-life images and stuff. And it's just rare you see directors take such really wild leaps.
Yeah.
It's also rare to watch with both the series and the movie. People ask like, "What's it about?"
Right.
And you're like, "Well, first you have to watch the whole series, then you'll watch the movie, and you still won't understand."
Right. But that's actually kind of cool because it means something to different people. Like and that's I always like open-ended, ambiguous type things because you can mean anything to you. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's very hotly debated on the internet what it means, and it's something that you'll have. I don't know if you're like fridge moments or fridge horror and stuff like that.
Okay,
the show has both. Some, it's like you're getting a midnight snack, open the fridge. So I actually tricked my boyfriend into watching it like a couple months ago because it's kind of mandatory media to get me or whatever. And he doesn't like anime at all, or so he thinks. And, but he likes me, so he watched the whole thing.
And that's appropriate, yes.
And now he just sends me links every once in a while. He's like on the forums trying to figure. He's still thinking about it, like 5 months after he's watched it, being like, "Wait a minute. So wait, does that mean?" And going back and reading what other people say, and like, "Have you seen this?" It's like, yes, of course. I've been obsessed, for half a decade over this.
So has there ever been? Is there sequels to the film?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
I don't recommend them.
Oh, okay. So stick with the original and don't bother with this.
Yeah.
So watch the original series, then watch this.
Yeah. So if you don't watch the series, this will make no sense.
Okay.
If you've watched the original series, you'll at least know who the characters are, and it'll make like 20% sense. Yeah, and then you watch it 3 times more, you go on the internet, argue about it, you think about it for a year, and then it makes probably about 80% sense.
So say the title again so people...
It's The End of Evangelion.
Okay, and you can easily get this on any streaming...
No.
No, okay.
I recommend you pirate it. That's illegal in your country, but it is really hard to find.
Really? Okay. So even on DVD, Blu-ray?
Probably, but I think the price is like $100 or something outrageous.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it might be on. I'm not sure it's on any streaming service.
Okay.
I love the show. I've tried to buy it several times, and I mostly just end up pirating it because that's where I can find it.
Well, you heard it here first. Pirate it. It's okay. Thank you so much for being on, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we have another first-time guest, and it is Archie. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, it's good to be here.
So for the 100th episode, we made it difficult on people because we had to decide what is the one all-time favorite movie that you like, and for some people, it was like, I can't pick one. But that was the point. Otherwise, this would have been a 30-hour podcast. So you replied you had never been on a podcast before, but you listened to plenty of podcasts, and you did find one movie that fits the criteria of your all-time favorite movie. And what is that movie?
That movie is Goodfellas.
Okay. So what about? Did you see this in the theater when it first
came
did.
Okay. In 90 or 91, whenever it was released.
So before that, were you a big Scorsese fan, big De Niro fan, or what interests you about this?
Yeah, I mean, it will be hard not to be in the in the 80s and early 90s, not to be a fan of Scorsese and De Niro, because he did his best work with Scorsese, so I was pretty excited. Scorsese hadn't really done a mob or a gangster movie, really, before that. He did Mean Streets and...
Yeah, and Taxi Driver, but that wasn't
but that's not really...
No, not a mob movie at all.
So that was, anytime you had a new movie coming out in that era, it was a big thing.
Now, did you know about Henry Hill at all before seeing this movie?
I never read his book, but I knew who he was and basically that he been put in witness protection for informing on his compatriots.
That's right.
Ratting on them or thinking of them.
Now, did you ever listen to the Howard Stern show?
No.
Okay, so the reason I found out about Henry Hill was through Howard Stern, because he would call in to the Howard Stern show. And this is after Goodfellas became a phenomenon. And there would be ex-mobsters, well, you think they are, that would call in and basically threaten to kill Henry because he was a rat. But he never seemed to care, and he lived a pretty long life in witness protection, even though he was kind of out there. But,
yeah.
So what about this particular movie did you want to watch over and over again? And because you had mentioned before that you're not a big fan of watching movies over and over again. What about Goodfellas?
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of movies repeatedly, but Goodfellas is one of those, kind of what you'd call a remote chucker.
Yeah.
Where when you see it on TV, you just kind of throw the remote and watch the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Because you're, anywhere that you come into that film, you can immediately get into it and follow the story. It immediately sucks you in.
Right. For me, it's like the Godfather, same way. It's,
yeah.
It's 3-hour movie, but it doesn't matter. It flies by.
Well, and an interesting point about Goodfellas is somebody kind of pointed out that it's a good companion to The Godfather in that The Godfather's about this family and sort of the machinations, the political machinations of this family and them trying to survive and become legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
And Goodfellas is kind of the how. Like, what do gangsters do? What is their day-to-day life like?
Right.
How do they make money? What do they do with it? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So watched like that, it's also interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You can see Henry when he was young and how he kind of got into that life and kind of had that weird meteoric rise to power and corruption and things like that. And I'm sure I'd seen Joe Pesci before this, but I don't want to call this his breakout role because he had been in Raging Bull and movies like that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't see Raging Bull until after, so it was.
Oh, really?
I think it was the first thing I saw.
Okay.
And of course,
he's brilliant, and of course De Niro's De Niro. I believe. I want to say I saw Ray Liotta in Field of Dreams before I saw Goodfellas, so maybe I knew him as...
I didn't see that after. After too.
Yeah, so I knew him as Shoeless Joe Jackson, but many people know him as Henry Hill, and Lorraine Bracco plays Henry's wife, and there's so many good actors and actresses in this.
It seems like it's basically, for me, and I haven't seen all of Scorsese's work, so take this with a grain of salt, but it seems like everything came together in that film. Because everything, first of all, the screenplay is really tight and solid. The acting is tremendous. It's a crime that Ray Liotta didn't even get nominated for Best Actor for that movie, because he's terrific. And one of the things that's really interesting about his portrayal, is that when you've watched the movie a couple of times, or if you're a little more observant than I am, you notice that he doesn't do anything. He's sympathetic, and you immediately identify with him as the viewer.
Yeah.
But he never does anything sympathetic in the film. He's just less psychotically violent than his compatriots. He locks the door when Billy Batts is murdered.
That's right.
He, it's his car that the body's in. He's upset when Spider's murdered, but he doesn't do anything about it except kind of, hey, why'd you do this?
Yeah.
That's the extent of it. So he's as bad as they are.
Yeah, not a great husband. yeah.
But Liotta plays him so well that you're riveted by him the entire film, and you don't really. I mean, I'm not sad at the end of the film when he, gets put in witness protection, but he's really good at making you understand kind of how this guy became what he was.
Yeah, almost like I could have been him, that type of thing. Because you're not psychotic like Pesci.
Man, I would hope not.
I know, but yeah, exactly.
Well, because the thing is, I think I would hope a normal person would get to the first. For example, the people you feel sorriest for in the film are the guy you probably feel sorriest for is the postman who gets his head put in a pizza oven for the crime of delivering his mail.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's delivered the truancy slip, I think, to the parents.
Yeah.
And they beat the hell out of him and put his head in the pizza oven.
Thank you for picking this movie, and if you haven't seen it, go out and see it. And we mentioned some other great films on there, but thank you again for being on, Archie.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great. Okay, we're back, and we have a brand new guest to the podcast, and this is Allison. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you, and you have a movie that nobody's picked yet.
Yes.
And I haven't seen, so I want to know all about it. I want to know why you picked it, and why this is considered your all-time favorite movie.
So the movie that I chose is called Sliding Doors.
Okay.
And it came out in the 90s.
So 98.
98.
Yeah.
It stars Gwyneth Paltrow as herself twice.
Oh, interesting.
And essentially the movie is about what happens, how life diverges based on one moment, essentially.
Okay.
So, you want me to tell you kind of...
Yeah, give me the synopsis without giving spoilers.
Spoilers. All right, so Gwyneth Paltrow has long brown hair in the beginning.
Okay.
And essentially she has a really, really tragic day at work.
Okay.
And ends up getting fired, heads home, and either does or does not make a subway train. And based on that first pair of sliding doors, her experience diverges very, very quickly. And it's visually, there is just one aspect that I thought was pretty smart. They almost nearly immediately give one of the Gwyneth Paltrows a complete makeover. So she cuts all of her hair off and dyes it blonde.
Okay.
So at that point, it's much easier to kind of figure out which timeline you're experiencing.
Okay.
And then, as they continue to diverge, of course, it naturally is more and more easy to understand which. Then at the end, both of those timelines have kind of a similar thing that happens that then brings them back together.
Okay.
And then the movie ends.
So it's almost like one of those old choose your own adventure books where you could go in any path. It starts off a certain way, but it could go any path.
Yes.
Okay. Who else is in this movie?
God, I have no idea what the name of any of the people are. There is...
But she's the definite star.
Yes. I'm not great at my star identification abilities.
So did you see this in the theater, or was it something you saw after?
No, I saw it after.
Okay.
In fact, I saw it probably in the early 2000s.
Okay.
So I saw it on video. And one of the things I really love about the movie, well, first of all, Gwyneth Paltrow's British in this movie. Her accent is horrendous. And there's one part where she's sob crying, yelling. And her accent, what the hell is it? I have no idea.
It came from something else. Yeah.
It's very distracting. It's this highly emotional part. And suddenly it just completely veers off. But things that...
Well, now I really want to see it. So that's it.
I have it. I can loan it
Okay,
to you.
Perfect.
I think it's on Netflix, probably. The soundtrack is great. Really, really good. And it has kind of all my favorite Britpop flavors to it. And also, they extensively quote Monty Python. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Extensively, it actually becomes kind of a plot point.
Oh, cool.
And those things just made me have kind of enduring affection for it. Also, she has this best friend, and her best friend just kicks ass. Everybody needs a friend like her friend.
Is it Janine Triplehorn?
No, Janine Triplehorn. Ugh. Her character is abhorrent.
Okay.
But she does a great job with it. And
she's a great actress. She's in a lot of great movies. Yeah.
She's... I don't want to give spoilers.
No, that's okay.
But essentially, I can give spoilers.
You can do whatever you want. But I don't know if a lot of people have seen this, so maybe try to care because I want people to see this. I want to see this.
So the major characters are her boyfriend, who is John Hannah is a love interest, but John Lynch is the original boyfriend.
Okay.
And then in both timelines, he's having an affair.
Okay.
With Janine Triplehorn.
Got it.
And his best friend is also hysterical. The characters in this movie are generally delightful to me. I don't enjoy movies or TV where people just become massively unlikable. But everybody has kind of quirkiness. Even the characters who are the bad guys.
Yeah.
There's fun stuff about their personalities or their interactions with their friends that are just generally delightful to watch.
So how often do you go back and watch this? Or when's the last time you watched it?
I watched it very recently, actually. Oh. So I've gotten to the point where I can actually recite some of the lines now.
That qualifies as a favorite. You have to have that. Well, Allison, this was great. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you're on again.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I love having first-time guests on, and this is the only guest, spoiler, to pick another movie that someone else has picked. And it's Yoko. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Brian.
And so the reason, I've always wanted to have you on, but the real reason I wanted to have you on this episode is you and I have the same exact favorite movie, and that is
Airplane,
which is the greatest comedy of all time, and to us, the greatest movie of all time.
It's not just a comedy. I mean, of course it's comedy, but it's it's pure entertainment.
It is.
To me, because I think most people think the best movie, and I used to think the best movie is supposed to gotten Oscars.
Yeah.
Have great special effects.
Very highbrow.
Very highbrow. The storylines. This doesn't really have any of that.
No. If anything, it takes a little bit from all the disaster films that came before it and just totally make fun of it. But in they always have a straight face when they do it. That's what makes it hilarious.
Right.
And I think it works on like so many levels.
Yeah.
I think that's another great thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never seen it in a theater because I actually wasn't even in this country.
Right. So this is to me is fascinating. So Yoko grew up in Japan. So when you saw it, was it subtitled or you saw it in like how did you watch it for the first time?
I must have seen it on like TV. You know, when they used to have like movie of the week.
Sure.
You know, with commercials and everything. So I don't even remember the first time I saw it. I mean, it was like a few years after it came out, right?
Was the language dubbed in or was it subtitles?
No, it was here.
Oh, it was here. It was here. Okay.
I've never seen it in Japanese.
Got it. Okay.
So that was one thing I was like mentioning to you. I can't imagine this movie being in Japanese.
Okay.
Because it's so like there are like so many jokes.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, you know, that will only work in English.
Right. So when did you really become more fluent in English? So were you pretty fluent by the time you watched this?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, when did it first come out on TV? Is like, you know, the first question.
Probably the mid 80s, because I first saw it on VHS videotape. Probably in 1986, 1987. I haven't been out since 1980.
So I must have been pretty fluent by then. Maybe not 100%.
Okay.
I still don't think I'm 100%. No one ever is, right? So,
yeah.
But anyway.
Hey, I've been here my whole life. I don't think I'm fluent. So there you go.
But I just remember seeing it for the first time. You know, I thought I got all the jokes.
Yeah.
And of course I didn't.
No, how can there's so many.
So many jokes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, non-stop. Like every single time I watch it, I discover more and more jokes.
Yeah. That makes the perfect repeat viewing movie.
Yes.
Because it never, even though when you know when they're coming, it's great, you know.
I mean, you know, by now we both know what's going to happen in the next scene. Still, it's still funny.
It's still hilarious. And so, like, Yoko and I will pass each other in the halls and we'll say, "Don't call me Shirley" or something like that.
Yeah, please don't call me Shirley.
Please don't.
I have a drinking problem.
Yeah, that's right, and it gets very messy because there's water and Gatorade all over the place. So, so what jokes did you not get at first that now you get?
Maybe like, you know, some of those like really fast talking ones.
Okay.
Jive. I didn't
know you didn't know what jive was. Yeah.
I mean, I could tell, like, you know, these, like, you know, guys were like saying some things
their own language,
but I didn't know,
thing,
right? Yeah, but I didn't know what the jive was.
Right. Now, did you know that the woman was from an old TV show?
No.
Okay, so that was. Did you ever see Leave It to Beaver?
I heard about it. No, I never.
So she was like the all-American mom, and it was in the 1950s. And so you wouldn't expect this old white lady to be speaking jive. So I think sometimes it gets lost for newer viewers who've never seen Leave It to Beaver.
Oh,
so,
Mrs. Cleaver.
Mrs. Cleaver.
Okay.
So they thought it was really funny back then to have Mrs. Cleaver talking jive. Now it's just like, some old white lady's talking jive, so it's still funny. But there's a double reason why it's funny. So yeah. So that's a good one, yeah.
That's a good one. Oh, you know, like when the shit hits the fan.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say
no, you can swear whatever you want, yeah.
I don't think they showed that.
Oh, really? TV. Yeah. They didn't show the actual literal shit hitting the fan.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, that's kind of...
Well, and this was a PG movie. There was nudity. One scene, there was nudity.
Where was the nudity?
So it's when... I think it's when and I get this sometimes confused with the second sequel, which is not as good, but...
There's a sequel?
There is a sequel, so it basically follows the exact same format, but it's not as good. The Zucker brothers who did the original weren't involved, because they didn't...
Oh, no.
So, like, Shatner's in it, and, like... So there are some moments, but only the first one's really the best. So there is a scene where everyone's calm when they're saying they're about to crash, and then she says, "Oh, and we're also out of coffee," and then everyone loses their mind, and then all of a sudden you see a woman jump in the front. You just see her chest, her naked chest. Yes, and that's it. She just pops in the middle and then goes away, and so it was always there was no rhyme or reason. It was just gratuitous nudity. So
there's a lot of gratuitous stuff.
So I'm sure you didn't see that on TV. Yeah, I'm sure you didn't see that on TV either.
No, but I've seen it on video afterwards. So I mean, the last time I saw this airplane was a few months ago.
Okay.
Wanted to see it because I was actually pretty stressed at that time.
Okay.
I had an upcoming medical procedure, and I was pretty stressed about it. I was like, you know what? It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I'll watch it. And it was for free.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll watch it. it was as funny as ever.
Yeah.
I don't remember kind of discovering anything particularly new.
Okay.
But still, it was.
But it was still enjoyable. And
it was still enjoyable,
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, this is great! I should watch it after, during my recovery."
Yeah.
But then I was like, "No, maybe I shouldn't."
Yeah.
Because that would pretty much cause additional pain because the movie is so.
So you and I both share our love of kind of spoof, satirical comedy, and things like that. And to me, this is the most iconic one. Yeah. This started everything, really.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, even if you're not really fluent in English, you still find it funny because there are like enough of the gags.
It's universal.
It's universal.
Yeah. Now, have you ever seen any of the movies that they based this on, like the airport movies or the disaster movies like Poseidon Adventure and things like that?
I have seen the airport.
Yeah.
I don't know which one. I know they had like
there's like
several,
6 of them. Yeah, it's like Airport 77.
They're pretty much all the same.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There's like this like super sense of urgency
Yeah.
going on.
And the pilot, something always happens to the pilot.
Yeah, there's always something. And so I got that this is a total send-up.
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
those movies.
Well,
and sorry, another thing about this is that watching it about 6 months ago, like I said, the traveling is so different nowadays.
There was no security. Right? There was kind of security. They made fun of it though too. Like people are just going right through. One guy has a metal plate, and
and it's like there were like Hare Krishna.
Like you don't see those anymore.
No, right? Yeah. Those people are not wandering around anymore. You could go into cockpit.
That's right.
Let the kids inside. Nowadays, no way.
And basically, the pilot's a pedophile. So
right?
you find out.
All that stuff. So I don't know if I should call it good old days, but it's just
there was less stress. I mean, like
that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed more. I mean, you can't make the same movies.
No, not at all. So. And that's a great point. And like the whole, you can't park in the white zone, the red zone,
right?
And they start arguing.
That was so funny.
Yeah. I know what this is about. You want me to have an abortion? So,
yeah. And apparently, those are real people who actually used to do the announcement.
Absolutely, it wasn't just a recording.
So
yeah. And
anyway, I can just keep talking.
No, you're totally right. You can't walk literally up to the airplane anymore. So that's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yoko. See, this was painless. This was fun.
I did it.
And don't call me Shirley. I love getting first-time guests, and I've been asking Michael to come on for almost 2 years now, for 99 episodes, and so part of it is just logistics because we don't always see each other, and so because you're living down south and we're up north, so but I got you here, and it's in perfect time for the 100th episode, and what better way than to talk about your one all-time favorite movie, and you said it was tough to come up with one, but you did it.
Yeah. There's a couple I rejected. Well, I have two main categories and types of movies that I love.
Okay.
They're completely opposite. One is science fiction, one is sci-fi fantasy. Other is musicals.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. So you might have liked our musical episode. That's good.
Yes. So I don't know. So I was going back and forth which type and which one of each type I would pick.
Yeah. So what was the movie you decided to go with?
Back to the Future.
Really?
Growing up in the 80s, of course, being a fan of 80s and movies, and it's just got everything. Of course, the sci-fi.
Of course.
The sci-fi in it is just fun. But again, even if you take the sci-fi out, it's still fun. It's still such a funny, touching story all the way around.
It is, and the acting's great. Leah Thompson as his mom, and I always forget his name. He plays his dad, Crispin Glover. He's so good, and really, you forget he's not in the second and third. They like kind of double him in.
That would have been so much better. I think those movies if you had been there.
Yeah, and I do enjoy the second one.
Yeah,
and I do enjoy the third one, but it can't top the first. No.
Yeah, the first one's just got the heart.
It does, exactly. And I found out just recently that there wasn't actually supposed to be any sequels. Zemeckis put the whole to be continued as a joke, and then when people were like, well, when's the next movie coming? Because it was such a hit. And he's like, well, damn it, I have to do another one now. And then they filmed them both at the same time.
Yes.
So that's why you got, I think it was like 89 and 90 when they came out back to back. The second one's fun to watch because of the whole 2015 thing.
I know.
And they almost nailed it with the Cubs.
I know they did.
So we're actually in a few, I don't know about a few weeks, but we're talking about doing it. We're going to do the Back to the Future soundtrack.
Oh, no way.
So that'll be fun because I definitely had that as a kid.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, listen to that all the time. So how often do you go back and rewatch Back to the Future?
Oh,
no pun intended.
I haven't in a while, actually. But I do want to show it to my kids.
Yeah. They haven't seen it yet.
They're middle school, so I think they've seen parts of it.
Okay.
And they've never been interested in it. But I think they will be now as they get older because
I had to be. I didn't see it in the theaters. I saw it when either it came out on VHS, so I probably saw 86, 87. And I was younger than your kids, and I loved it. Absolutely adored it. I couldn't get enough of it. Did you see it in the theater?
I did not. I actually saw it on a TV at my 8th grade graduation party that they had on campus.
Oh, really?
And they were showing it in the back, and I started watching. I'm like, oh, holy cow.
Yeah, this is great. And so then did you just try to rent it? Or?
I assume that I must have been.
Yeah.
And at some point I rented it. And
well, luckily, and I mentioned this on the podcast, my uncle had HBO. We didn't have HBO. So he would record anything on HBO. So one of those was Back to the Future. That was like a big deal because when we finally had it in a whole movie. Because that was the thing. People forget, everything's streaming now.
Yeah.
You know, you can get it on DVD if you want. But back then, it's either TV or you rent it. Because video tapes were too expensive to buy.
If you didn't see it in the theater.
You missed it. And that was another thing. If you didn't see it in the theater, it took like a year or 2 years for it to even be released on home video.
That's right.
So Back to the Future, amazing pick. And I'm so glad. Let's not wait 100 more episodes to get you on. So this is good. So again, thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so it's taken him 50 episodes to come back because you were on it was the 80s movie songs.
Only 50, huh?
Only 50, I know. So, but I'm glad we're getting everyone to come back for the 100th episode. So Juan is back. Welcome back.
Hello.
So for this, you had to pick one favorite movie, and it's tough because I was talking to you, and you're like, there's so many. There's like 20, but you nailed it down to one. So what is your one all-time favorite movie?
Okay, it's not like my favorite, but it's definitely in the top whatever for favorite movies. But
and I forced you to pick one, so that's my fault. Yeah.
And it's only because I can sit down and watch it multiple times and still be really entertained by it.
Sure.
And that is Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Nice. Okay, so this is the
second Captain America.
So with the first one, what was the first one called?
The First Avenger.
First Avenger. That's right. So what about the second one? Because they introduce. I'm trying to remember because they all blend in now for me because there's so many of them.
Really? They still blend in for you?
They still do. Well, especially the new ones. So yeah. So why does Winter Soldier resonate more than the other two?
Winter Soldier is great. It has practical effects, a great storyline, good character development. I remember one 4th of July a couple of years ago. This one movie channel on Dish was just showing it 24/7.
Just that one.
Yeah. And even though. I'd seen it previously and we owned the movie and it's I was just still on that channel, watched it, beginning to end.
Yeah.
Multiple times during that day, just watched a couple of scenes and it's just fantastic.
So what about this one do you say more than the first Avenger?
Well, it's less campy than the first Avenger.
And it's modern day as opposed to being in the 40s.
Caps, adjusting to modern life, It's always great, especially, not just in the comics, but also in the movie, how it's these figures of authority or these people that, we're supposed to trust or whatever. Cap, I guess, kind of represents, it's kind of thrown against him. He's I actually can't trust S.H.I.E.L.D. I can't trust the government. The government's the one that's conspiring against us. They're doing, these terrible things without kind of just cause. They're...
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much is a lone soldier on this one. He kind of has to be the morality for the government, basically.
Yeah,
he has to take. Yeah,
you're calling this right and you're calling this wrong, but even though he's things aren't always black, people are telling him that they're not black and white.
Yeah.
He has to very much stand his ground, and then he pretty much kind of proves that what S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing isn't right because they're not actually S.H.I.E.L.D., they're Hydra.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So what about this one? So and then Civil War came after this one, right?
Not directly after, but yeah.
But they would be the next in the trilogy of current Captain America. So you like this one better than Civil War as well?
Yeah, if you're gonna watch just one Captain America, Winter Soldier is the best one. Black Widow is awesome. She's competent.
Yes.
There's nothing. It's pre Age of Ultron, so there's nothing weird romantic things with her. banner that whatever happened in that Age of Ultron did.
You heard it from Juan's mouth. You got to see Captain America Winter Soldier if you're going to check out a Marvel movie.
Or a Captain America movie.
Or a Captain America movie. And so any complaints, come back to me and Juan will justify his pick. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for being on, and we hope to have you on again, especially when we talk about Marvel movies.
Thank you again to everyone who agreed to be on the podcast, and a special thanks to the newbies, because it's always fun to get some new blood in here, and I hope you continue to listen and enjoy the content we have to put out. We have one that I never got a chance to actually interview her, but she sent a quick little note, and it's from Christina R., and her favorite movie of all time is Dark Crystal, the Jim Henson classic. And she said, I would say my movie is definitely Dark Crystal. I just love the whole story and puppetry and crazy characters. Jim Henson was a genius, and I still catch things in his movies. So thank you again, Christina. And then, of course, Ralph and Ian, if you go back and listen to the episode that they were on, 1975 through 1979 movies, both of them agree that Jaws is their all-time favorite movie. So if you want an extensive description about why Jaws is their best movie, definitely check it out. I even asked him the question on the Judas Priest Hellbent for Leather episode that will be out probably around the same time as this episode, and they describe why Jaws is their favorite movie. All right. Thank you again. Here's to 100 more. Here's to 1,000 more episodes. Who knows? I have ideas. As long as I don't get sick of this, I'm going to keep going as long as I can. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed. We'll talk to you soon. If you enjoy this podcast and are an iTunes user, please do the show a favor and head on over to the official iTunes page for Damn Good Movie Memories. Be sure to leave a rating and a review. This will allow the show to appear higher in the algorithm and spread the joy of this podcast to the masses. If you are not an iTunes user, you can still listen and subscribe on Podbean at damngoodmoviememories.podbean.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook under our Damn Good Movie Memories page. You can also listen to a limited number of episodes on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and be sure to tune in next week for an all-new episode of Damn Good Movie Memories.
I am Dr. Fuck. And I'm the Total Alcoholic. And we are part of the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast. We are the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast. That's right. And the way you can check us out is we are on iTunes and also Podbean. And we forgot a review recently. I got this review right here. It says right here, it says, Rock and Metal Combat Podcast is the greatest podcast in the world, and it's my #1 podcast, signed by Science. Now, and then Science also says... Science also said... My second favorite podcast is It Doesn't Matter, the Rest Suck. Rock and Metal Combat Podcast on iTunes and Podbean. Check it out. Science! Are you ready for the hottest new podcast out there? Check out the Vieira Vault, featuring none other than Dr. Fuck Ralph Vieira. You will hear personal stories and personal songs from the vault. There ain't nothing else like it. The one, the only, the original Vieira Vault on Podbean, Stitcher.com, and iTunes.
Spreaker.
God damn it.